Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $ ORION NWSF and the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got the National League Wild Card game number 2. The Atlanta Braves versus the San Diego Padres. Padres ended up winning yesterday to take game 1. It's obviously the first team to win 2 advances, and we've already seen some crazy outcomes. The Detroit Tigers swept the Houston Astros, and they won today 5-2. Detroit moving on. And the Kansas City Royals, another road team, beating the Baltimore Orioles 2-0 to advance. And then we have the Mets up on the Brewers. I'm not really sure what's going on in this particular wild card, but it looks like 3 out of the 4 teams on the road are going to advance, and maybe the only home team that's going to advance will be the San Diego Padres tonight if they end up beating the Atlanta Braves. So let's cue up the music. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes. Let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let me get into the starting lineups. And on the thumb, on the left, you already know who it is. First baseman, Matt Olson. And on the right, Mr. Electric, Fernando Tatis Jr. Let's go, baby. I really like the way that this thumb turned out. And I'm happy that I was able to get the wild card. Obviously, PNG there at the top looks awesome. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Atlanta Braves. Leading off for the Braves in center field, Michael Harris II. Batting second, playing second base, Ozzie Albies. Batting third, DHing for Atlanta, Marcell Ozuna. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, Matt Olson. Batting fifth, playing right field, Jorge Soler. Batting sixth, playing left field, Ramon Laureano. Batting seventh, playing third base, Gio Urshela. Batting eighth, catching today for the Braves, Sean Murphy. And batting ninth, playing shortstop for the Braves, Orlando Arcia. And on the mound for the Braves, one of their aces, Max Fried. Let's go, baby. And now let's get into the starting lineups here for the home San Diego Padres. And I definitely would give them the edge tonight. But again, Atlanta's got Max Fried on the mound. If they can get a few base knocks and get going early, this could end up going, obviously, to game number 3 tomorrow. Leading off for the San Diego Padres, DHing, Luis Arraez. Batting second, playing right field, Fernando Tatis Jr. Batting third, playing left field, hit it far, throw it far, Jurickson Profar. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, third baseman, Manny Machado. Batting fifth, playing center field, Jackson Merrill. Batting sixth, playing shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. Batting seventh, playing first base, Donovan Solano. Batting eighth, the Crone Zone, second baseman, Jake Cronenworth. And batting ninth, catching for San Diego, Kyle Higashioka. And on the mound for the Padres, their ace, Joe Musgrove. Let's go, baby. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. We want to try to get 20 within the first hour, 30 to 50 overall. And obviously, we're going to be shooting for 100 in the donos on every single stream. And I do apologize for not streaming yesterday. I did have it planned that I was going to do game number 1 of the Padres and the Braves, but maybe about an hour and a half, I could definitely tell Paisley needed a little bit more time. So we ended up, going on a few extra walks and, spending time that she needed. And again, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to, because I ended up putting out the social media posts early in the morning. And then, I kind of realized as we were getting a little bit closer that, she comes first. So I wanted to make sure that she was okay. Gave myself a little bit of a mental health day as well. But I'm back. I can't miss game number 2. And then we're going to go into the Buccaneers versus the Falcons on Thursday Night Football tomorrow. Very exciting. Then we got the Michigan State matchups, the Spartans going against the Oregon Ducks, and that'll be on Friday. We got WWE Bad Blood on Saturday. And then we're going to end up getting into the action on the NFL side for Sunday Night Football, which I haven't even peeked ahead yet, on Sunday. And then obviously Monday Night Football. So we'll be grinding it out. But I figured, since I didn't end up doing the stream yesterday, it'd be much better for me if it ended up being the Mariners that were involved. But obviously we did not get a chance to prove ourselves in the postseason. But it shows you that even if you end up having a really good regular season, right, like the Houston Astros started slow, then got hot late. The Baltimore Orioles, people were thinking that they were going to go all the way. And a lot of these home teams look like they can't get it done. And it's kind of crazy, to see all of the road teams, winning yesterday, right? The Mets ended up being the Brewers 8-4, right? The Royals beat the Orioles 1-0. And then the Tigers won with Scooball 3-1, which I thought that was going to happen. And the only team to win at home was the Padres yesterday. So definitely exciting to see the energy. And obviously the Padre fans are going to bring that energy here tonight. And I know we got a few fans on the channel, like Elliot Double E, big Padre fan. We got a few others here in the room, as well as Shep and a few Braves fans. So I'm definitely excited to see where this goes. Last game of the night, so why not? And then we're going to get into the Buccaneers and the Falcons on Thursday Night Football tomorrow. Megan in the building, what's good? Daniel in the building, what's good? Yes, absolutely. And I had to watch them get eliminated. And as soon as they had the bases loaded and they ended up getting all knocked in, I already knew it was over in the 8th. So that one felt really, really good. Oh, Dallas and Pittsburgh. Nice. And I know that you ended up, picking up a brand new quarterback, Justin Fields. We got kind of the short end of the stick in fantasy, with AR and Patrick Mahomes. So hopefully for both of our sakes, you can start dominating with Fields. Hopefully he'll stay consistent for you. Not a whole lot of those 10, 11-point games that he had early on. And hopefully he'll get a lot of 20 to 30-point games moving forward. I got, obviously, Sam Darnold, and I had to do a whole blow-up of my roster just to try to get back into competitive shape, as well as Sarah, obviously, being at the bottom, reconfiguring her lineup, getting Jaden Daniels in there, getting, obviously, Juwan Jennings in there, and, putting Tyreek on the bench, and obviously Ayuk on the bench, even though Ayuk might be able to score. Sometimes you got to be able to look at your rankings of your players, and obviously if you don't have a quarterback anymore and Tua's not there, Waddle and Tyreek's value in fantasy is almost nothing. So you have to be able to make those changes, and I know a lot of us are definitely going to be making minor adjustments as well as major adjustments. And again, I wish the best of luck for everyone. Me and Megan are going to be going toe to toe. And first pitch to Michael Harris, and that's fair. Wow, right out of the gates, and he's going to go in with a stand-up double. Michael Harris, wow, right out of the gates with some energy. I like it. Okay. I wasn't expecting a base knock right out of the gates from Musgrove. But again, if you already know it's going to be a first pitch strike, there is going to be a good chance where you might be able to get that, for a single or double. Nice job by Michael. Next up, second baseman Ozzie Albies with the Air Jordan. I see you. Yeah, like I said, Mahomes isn't a starting quarterback in fantasy right now. He almost has the same amount of touchdowns to interceptions, and that's not very Mahomes-like. And again, he hasn't really been good in fantasy. Now, he's obviously considered like the best quarterback in the world, and they have the Super Bowl rings to prove it, right? But as far as fantasy is concerned, he's trash. He's not good, and he hasn't been good for the last couple years, and he started to pick it up a little bit with Rashee Rice, but now Xavier Worthy will be there, but Travis Kelce, most of the games is a non-factor, unfortunately, but maybe that'll pick up since Rashee Rice is injured. So we'll see where it goes, but again, a lot of quarterbacks that we were anticipating being good, or at least better than last year. Anthony Richardson and Patrick Mahomes definitely let a lot of people down, but hopefully there's an alternative there. And again, if you got a guy like Sam Darnold, that can definitely help, or Justin Fields. Little base knock to first base. There we go. Harris moves to third base with the sacrifice there. One away. Next up, the Braves' best player this year, DH, Marcell Ozuna. And obviously no Ronald Acuna Jr., no Spencer Strider. So I think that's why a lot of people assume that the Braves are not going to get past the Padres. Now, if they did have Spencer Strider and they did have a healthy Ronald Acuna Jr., I think it would be much closer. And I still think Atlanta can win today to make it go to Game 3. Whoever wins 2 games first ends up advancing. It's best of 3. But it looks like right now, unless the Brew Crew can do some magic, every road team so far is advancing, except maybe this home team with the Padres. 1-0 pitch. Pitch on the corner for a strike. Four-seam fastball. I see you. Ozuna chops that one foul. I'm just proud of you and a lot of the other people. With me, Captain Oreo, and as well as Sarah, we have bad luck, but I think I have probably the worst luck out of everyone in the league besides me and Captain Oreo. Sarah ended up getting her first dub, so she's, obviously on a win streak, but me and Captain Oreo have been dropping games left and right. Ozuna. All right, Profar is there. Throw home. And he is safe. 1-0 with the face first slide. Braves. Nice job, Michael Harris II with that speed. But I've never lost in week number 2. I've never lost back-to-back games within the first 3 weeks. I've never lost 3 games in a row in fantasy in my life. And, to win the first game and then to lose 3 straight, I had to dig a little bit deeper. And, when I was going into the stats, I actually have the most points scored against me out of anybody in the league. And on top of that, I even have about 10 or 15 more that has been scored against me than even Captain Oreo. It's really hard to win, when you don't have your top 2 guys. Cooper Kupp runs CMC. No production out of the quarterback position or the tight end. 4 out of 9 spots. I had to blow up my team pretty much from scratch every single week just to try to find the right combination of guys to see if I can turn it around before Cooper Kupp comes back and CMC. And then hopefully I get good quarterback production out of Sam Darnold the rest of the year. And then, maybe Laporta will hopefully get a little bit better. I'm going to have to probably try to grab another tight end or 2. But I am proud of you and a few of the others just because you didn't pick all Seahawks. You didn't do what you did last year. You took the advice. You understood that, hey, I can grab a couple Hawks here and there. I can grab some of my USC guys, right? But at the end of the day, if I want to be competitive, I got to pick the players that are going to be the best that are available to give myself a chance to be able to win and maybe make the playoffs. Throw to first. And there is the end of the inning, but the damage is done based off the RBI by Olsen. Michael Harris II scores 1-0 Atlanta, and that's definitely what Atlanta needed right out of the gates. But again, I've never been outscored like this either, so I pretty much got Chiefs' best game. I got Reflect's best game and Shep's best game. And last week, I would have beaten literally everyone in the league except for Shep. So it just so happens that I scored more points than everyone else except him. And then lo and behold, who do I play? Him. So fantasy is very unfair, sometimes. But, again, some people have had it a little easy. If we're really, being honest, if we're looking at the schedule and the standings. So obviously, as I look at me and Captain Oreo, Captain Oreo has put up 442 points, right? And I put up 465, right? But I've, had scored on me 524, and Oreo's at 506. Everyone else is at 475, 435, 458, 483, 494, 453, and then Reflect the least amount, 415. So that means that, he's gotten 110 points less against him. No wonder you're 4-0. Again, so anyone that would have had my schedule would have gotten rocked as well. But that's not something that I like to see. That I got the most points. So every single person is bringing their Super Bowl effort against me. And, I've been screwed. But on the, bright side, Captain Oreo filled the need. By getting a quarterback that he feels that he can trust. There's going to be some, games that Justin Fields will only get 11 to 15. But again, if you're getting that with Mahomes, so be it. But the difference is Justin Fields is going to be able to give you 20 to 35 points, here and there as well, where Mahomes is not. And then I was able to get Denver D, ranked number 2, has had a great first month, and I'm going to use them probably the rest of the season. So number 2, obviously defense, number 1 kicker. And then I just got to be able to keep grinding away and finding these other wide receivers and running backs to kind of help me stay afloat. I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat you, Megan, this week, but I really need it bad. And again, I just want to get into the win column. And then I play Matt next week, and then Captain Oreo. So again, we're going to see what happens. But there's a very good chance that all 3 1-3 teams, me, Sarah, and Captain Oreo, could win this week. And so if we can all get to 2 and 3, there's going to be a lot of 2 and 3 teams at the end of the week. And obviously we'll see what happens with Reflect and Shep at the top of the board. But sometimes it just depends on who you play in those first 3 to 4 weeks. And unfortunately, I had to match up against, 4 of the strongest at this point. And hopefully it gets a little bit easier for me now. Arise, little chopper. Run it out, baby. Run it out. Safe. There you go. Let's go, baby. How are you? I've stopped into the store a few times, but you haven't been there. But great to see the Astros lose. And even though I know a lot of people were rooting for the Orioles, maybe that was fool's gold. It shows you, if the Mariners would have gotten into the playoffs, who knows what would have happened? Everyone thinking the Orioles were going to go all the way, or the Astros were going to be a very dangerous team, which we thought, but they couldn't even get past the Tigers. And it shows you, if you get hot and healthy, and if you got good pitching, deflects it off Max Fried. Oh, there we go. First and second for the Padres. But if you can have great pitching and you have great defense, that's what gets you to advance in the playoffs. Not necessarily, big hitting. Yeah, you're going to need the big hitting, but again, as long as you have above average hitting, but your pitching and defense is elite, that will counteract, great hitting on the other side. And mediocre pitching or mediocre defense. It really is the difference. Elite defense, elite pitching will always beat an elite bat. And that is true. And that's what we saw with the Tigers. They started it off with Skubal, one of the best pitchers in baseball, and then they got it done here today. So I'm definitely happy as a Mariner fan that the Astros lost. Now for the Orioles losing to the Royals, I don't really feel anything. I think both teams are equally good, but I think most people thought Baltimore was the better team. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, but again, Bobby Witt Jr. showing how great he really is, and his speed running out, those clutch, hits that he needed to get to first to get guys to move over and score is very essential. Bobby Witt Jr. in the same class as Julio Rodriguez. Nice to be able to see him have this success, and hopefully that'll be us one day in the playoffs. Let's go, baby. Missed you, man. I'll have to try to stop in sometime when I'm in town there, and hopefully you'll be working. Jacob in the building. What's good? Yeah, I know you want to, but I've already suffered enough. You're 2-2. I'm 1-3. I've never been this bad ever. So we'll see where it goes. And if you end up beating me, you end up beating me. But I'm going to bring everything that I possibly can to get there. And I really do think that me, Sarah, and Captain Oreo have a very good chance based on where our teams are sitting and who me and Captain picked up, obviously being at the bottom and getting a little priority on the wire, which we both fucking needed, and we got it. So we'll see where it goes, and I'm very excited. And I really do think that if me, Sarah, and Captain Oreo end up winning this week, who knows where it goes. We could end up getting on a little bit of a win streak, and, you never know who might end up being in the playoffs. It's not over for us at the bottom. Runners at first and second. Max Fried, pitch on the corner. 97 miles an hour with that fastball, 1-1 count. Good energy, obviously, here for the Padre fans. I love it. Profar fouls that one off, foul. Just chopped it off. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Yeah, I miss you, man. It's been too long. I did stop in there a couple times when I had to take Paisley to the vet, and also when I went to, run errands and go get her body wash and her nails trimmed and dremeled. So I always go into the store when I'm in town, but go to second base. Safe! Wow. All right, bases loaded. Ooh, my. Padres threatening already. Sarah in the building. What's good? No problem. And again, you always want to be looking at rankings. If you're going to be going against me or Shep or Reflect or whoever is having a good year or a bad year, and you're going to want to make more, moves on your bench too. You don't want to get complacent. Even if you're 3-0 or 4-0 or 3-1, you always want to make sure you're making the team better week in and week out instead of just sticking with what you have. You always have to look ahead in your schedule, see when you have a need. Maybe you're going to end up having a bunch of receivers on a bye. You always want to make sure you're upgrading the roster every single week. And you can still, have pieces that stay there. But again, you do run a risk if you just leave your bench alone and you don't touch it. Chances are at some point that's going to come back and bite you, because you could have added, really good running backs and wide receivers and tight ends and defenses and other things that maybe you didn't think you needed at the time. And then as of everyone else picks those pieces up, then you have a problem with an injury. And then you look at your bench and then you get a little disgusted thinking, damn, if I just would have made some more moves, maybe I would have been in a better position. But, especially with, guys like Reed, and you can either go back and forth, big swing and a miss by Machado. Got him. You can go back and forth between Jennings and Ayuk. Ayuk has had 4 bad games. So at some point, Ayuk might have a good game this week. He's almost overdue, right? But if Jennings is more consistent, obviously he had that big 40-plus point game, and he's also been able to get to, like 10 points a little bit more often than obviously Ayuk. So you can make that call, but you're always going to want to make sure you're looking at the rankings, of the players. That's going to give you the best shot to be able to win. Throw is home. And then the force out, got him. Wow, 2 away. Bases loaded, and the Padres might not get anything here. My goodness. Profar with a little bit of unluckiness there. Manny Machado as well. Next up. Let me see this again. Wow. Next up is Xander Bogaerts. Pitches outside by Max Fried. Bases loaded. If they can get out of this inning, this would be huge for Atlanta. Happy early birthday. Cole in the building. What's good? Okay. I mean, they definitely had the hitters to do it, maybe not the pitching to do it, but that's why baseball is so crazy in the playoffs, and just like any playoffs, hot and healthy, and obviously in baseball, it's pitching and defense. And if you don't have pitching and defense, you're fucked. You're not going to be able to advance. And now, if you're really being honest and looking at the teams that advance, did anyone really have, the Royals, the Tigers, and possibly the Mets all advancing on the road? That's what makes it kind of crazy. You never know what you're going to get, obviously, in the playoffs. Things are very unpredictable. But again, if you end up looking at who's got the pitching and who's got the defense, that usually is the answer. 1-0 Atlanta. Bottom of the first. Bases loaded. Braves, Max Fried trying to get out of it. Yeah. Obviously, that's the advantage of having the better record and having the home field advantage. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you're always going to want to make sure you're looking at your injuries and, and just always protecting yourself just in case. Force out at second. Got him. Wow. And the Braves get out of the inning with Max Fried. Bases loaded and no one comes home. Wow. This could be momentum shifting for Atlanta to win this game because obviously if you end up giving up 1, 2, 3 in the first inning, it might have already been over at that point, Not actually over, but just mentally. That would have been crushing for them. What a job by the defense. What a job by the pitching, even though Max Fried gave up a few of those base knocks, but nothing in as far as runs are concerned. 1-0 Atlanta. Yeah, and again, you always want to, look at guys, that are questionable, because some of those guys might end up eventually being doubtful or out, especially if you got guys that, have knee problems, ankle problems, concussion problems. You're always wanting to make sure you're doing yourself a good service and you're protecting yourself. I've never, like when we had the, the wire that just dropped, I had to put in 12 fucking requests. I've never had to do that many before, but I also dropped like half my roster because I had to, make a change. And so I had 5 openings. And when you have, a lot of people picking up people on the wire, normally I would only maybe put in, 3, 4, maybe 5, just because, you're not going to get everyone that you want, but I've never in my life put in 12 requests to fill 5 spots on the wire. But that's what I had to do. And again, even though I've gotten the most points scored against me, everyone's, Super Bowl A+ natty effort, and, I've been injured and, just kind of some bad luck as well. I really do feel good, not only about my chances, but for Captain Oreo and Sarah to get your guys' shit turned around. And if I didn't really believe that, I wouldn't say it. Just because we're sitting there at 1-3 doesn't mean we're going to stay 1-3. And hopefully we can end up, catching up to everyone else. And if there's going to be, a bunch of 2-3 teams, I want to be a part of that. And then eventually 3-3, right? And then we want to get to above 500, 4-3. And then we know that we got something cooking. But we definitely have dug ourselves in a little bit of a hole, based on who we played. And, hopefully we get a little bit of good luck, on our side here, because that first month definitely did me, Sarah, and Captain Oreo dirty. Go to the top of the second, 1-0 Braves. All right, we need 4 more likes to get to 10. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Now we're at 8. 2 more to get to 10. And then obviously we want to get to at least 20, 20 to 30 if we can. 30 to 50 normally, but we'll see what kind of audience we have. Obviously, if the Mariners were in, we'd be getting a lot more people hanging out and whatnot. But since this is the last game that is on tonight, and I took yesterday off, here I am. And then we'll be doing Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons tomorrow for Thursday night, Michigan State and Oregon on Friday, WWE Bad Blood on Saturday, and then Steelers and Cowboys on Sunday night. Throw to first. Got him. Jorge Soler, 1 away. Next up is Ramon Laureano. I need to get a better photo of Jorge Soler. That one is too blurry for my liking. Sleeper for a strike. Big swing and a miss. Got him. Musgrove with the punch out. All right, that's a better one of Soler. Next up, one of their other new additions, Gio Urshela. Pitch is low and outside from Musgrove to Urshela. 1-1 count. Throw to first, got him. So when you put in requests, you're not going to get everybody, but I got, most of the spots that I wanted and needed. Again, when you end up putting in 12, options in the wire and you only have 5, obviously defense and tight end, were something that I had to address because Laporta has a bye, and I needed to get, obviously, a nice defense. And now I got the number 2 defense, and I'm going to hang on to them the rest of the year, and hopefully that'll help me win. And then I just needed to get, a plethora of just wide receivers or running backs or just whatever, that was available. So, I didn't get every, single one because obviously I only had 5 spots, but I got, I would say, a majority of the, 5 that I wanted. I probably got out of the 5 spots that I filled, it was out of my top 7. So there was 2 pieces that obviously that were, kind of, beneficial that I knew. A couple of them I knew I wasn't going to get because first off, I already knew Justin Fields was going to go to Captain Oreo because he had the first pick. So I didn't even put in a wire claim for him because I already knew I wasn't going to get him. So, we just went for defense and then, tried to just fill my roster with better pieces. And that's what you have to do week in and week out, especially if you're on a little bit of a losing streak. So it's Allie in the building. What's good? Of course, Tyreek would love to be able to go, and it sounds like Devontae Adams, wants to play with Carr or with Aaron Rodgers. And you also have to have money to get it done. But again, it shows you how valuable Tua really is. With Tua, even though people think that he's garbage or he's not that good, they're like a playoff team. Without Tua, they're one of the worst teams in football. So I think that we have to start having that discussion that, when Tua is healthy, he is like a top 10 quarterback, top 10, top 12. When he's not there, the team is terrible. And again, the value with Waddle and Tyreek is almost nothing, unfortunately, in fantasy, unless they get a better quarterback that can get those guys the ball. So that's why I was a little confused why you kept having Tyreek in there. You were doing it based off name recognition because it's Tyreek Hill, but you have to recognize if the quarterback can't get him the ball, there's no value. He's not going to be able to even get to 10 points, or if he does, it's barely. But when you put Tyreek in the lineup, you're hoping for 20, 30, 40, at least when Tua's playing, right? And, obviously with Jaden Daniels, that's the one for Jordan Love, and then they had the injury to Malik Willis, but, Daniels, he's like the number 4 receiver overall, so you want to make sure that you're putting in your best players every single week and you don't get caught up into the fantasy of the name. Tyreek Hill. But if Tyreek Hill isn't getting the ball, then Tyreek's value is 0. And Jaden Reed's value is through the roof. There's, everyone in the league would love to have Jaden Reed, and let alone would be starting him either at wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, or flex every single week because he's proven himself not only from last year, but he's Jordan Love's favorite target. So, hell, I even had to end up getting one of the others. And I don't usually like Packer players or Packer, pieces on my team. But even I had to go for the wide receiver too and pick him up because I know Jordan Love is balling right now, and they're going to be passing the ball and working it around. Romeo Dobbs' value is a little bit low. So if Wicks and Reed are going to be the top 2, and I can end up getting 11 to 25 points here and there, hell, I'm for that. I need points, baby. Judah in the building. What's good? Little chopper towards third. Oh, he bobbled it. Throw to first. Got him still. Wow. What a recovery. What a recovery. Donovan Solano tried to hustle it out, but again, third baseman everywhere in this league. They are money. Nothing there for Solano. Next up, it's the Crone Zone. Jake Cronenworth. Yeah, I'm happy that that the Bobby Witt Jr. ended up getting it, Scooball. But again, like I was telling people early on, regardless if you're at home or on the road, it doesn't matter. In baseball playoffs, it's about pitching and defense. And if you got pitching and defense and you're hot and healthy, you're going to beat the team that might have the better record and even might have the better hitters on their team. Because again, if you can get hot and you can get healthy, even on the road, I mean, we're about to have 3 teams out of 4 on the road advance. And I don't know when the last time that was. And the Mets probably didn't even deserve to get in. The Diamondbacks were more deserving. The Diamondbacks ended up scoring the most runs in baseball, and they didn't even fucking make the playoffs. They ended up having that doubleheader a couple days ago for the Braves and Mets to both get in because they both won a game each, right? But if we're really looking at it, the Diamondbacks are probably better than the Braves and the Mets right now, and that they might have been able to win their series if they ended up playing like Milwaukee. Or now if you had the Diamondbacks match up against the Padres, you're probably not winning that. But if the Diamondbacks match up with the Brewers, I definitely think the Diamondbacks could have got it done. But that's baseball for you. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Crone Zone. Mad Max with strikeout number 2. Next up, catcher Kyle. They got Shioka. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 20 within the first hour, 30 to 50 overall. And again, we're going to be shooting for 100 in the donos on every single stream. Oh, baby, back. Come on, baby. Higgy. And you know, when your 9-hole hitter hits a home run, that's a good sign that your team is definitely on the right direction of being able to close this out. And I know the Braves are going to do whatever they can to be able to advance, but wow, that's crazy. No one expects anything out of the 9-hole, period. And when you end up getting results from your 9-hole, let alone a home run to tie it up, huge. Absolutely huge. Fucking Higgy. Wow. I'm going to go through my other option here one sec. Wow, crowd going nuts. We're at 10. Let's get to 20. Fucking Higgy. Wild. All right, I'm going to go off my one that I was on because that one was, I usually have 2 up or 3 at the same time. And that last one was, too far behind. So I'm going to move on from that and try this one. And then hopefully this one will be better for me. Rey Mysterio, nice. We're knotted up at 1, baby. Oh, absolutely. The Dodgers and Phillies don't want anything to do with San Diego if they end up winning tonight or winning tomorrow and they end up advancing. I really did think that if Houston could have, did what San Diego might be able to do, they could have been, pretty dangerous. But apparently the Tigers are what the Astros, a lot of us thought that was going to happen. We thought maybe Houston would be able to catch fire and they would be that, team that might surprise. But instead, they're the ones that, ended up getting punched in the mouth by Scooball. They couldn't recover. And obviously the game was close today, but when you have bases loaded and you have a bases clearing, single and you knock in 3, that was the end of Houston in the 8th inning. And good for the Detroit Tigers. MSU, he's obviously a fan here on the channel, big Tiger fan, big Michigan State fan. And again, not a whole lot to root for, unless you are like a Lions fan, Michigan or Michigan State. Obviously, Michigan's a little bit better, but Michigan State is still going to, do what they do. And we'll find out what happens, obviously, tomorrow against Oregon. But it shows you, man, like Scooball, you end up having one of the best pitchers other than, Chris Sale and obviously Skeens. And you end up riding that momentum, obviously, into the playoffs. Pretty fucking impressive. Oh, absolutely, I would. I know it's not healthy, and they are terrible for you, and I understand that. But I gave up soda. I usually drink like juice and milk and water, but usually just to get a little bit of energy. And I don't really like the way that Red Bull tastes. I obviously like the way that this tastes a little bit more. So let me see here. One sec. All right, so I went to this other backup here, and then the backup ended up going to the Mets game. Hold on one sec. All right, so both of the links on my backup are going to the wrong thing. Kraken preseason against the Oilers. So I guess I'm gonna have to have a little bit of a slight delay unless the other one speeds up here real quick for me. I always like to be able to keep other options open, so one sec, guys. There we go. All right, 1-1 Atlanta and San Diego. Bottom of the second, runners at first and second. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously back in the day with vodka and Red Bull, and I guess once you drink, Red Bull often, it becomes an acquired taste and you enjoy it. But for me, I kind of like the way that this standard, black and green Monster can taste. I think it's the best tasting one, out of them all. But yeah, if I could ever get a sponsor one day, yeah, definitely would be something that, because I mean, it is something that I use, that's the main thing with sponsorships and whatnot. A lot of times it ends up being for like some kind of foreign gambling site or some kind of shit product that you don't even use or some kind of scam. I don't want to get paid and present something to the NWSF and the community that's not something that I actually believe in. If it's about dogs and cats and mental health, things like that are important to me, then yeah, obviously being able to help out with animal sanctuaries and pet adoption and helping people get over the grieving process of a lost pet and be able to help them adopt a new one, things like that, Petco and PetSmart, things that actually are important to me, regarding to Paisley, or if you're like Judah that love the cats as well. So Manny Machado, let's go. 3-1 Padres. I haven't had any of the flavored Red Bulls. I imagine they probably have many, many different flavors nowadays. So I mean, a lot of times it's just I don't want to, be lethargic and just, too tired, because I usually exercise a lot before I go on stream. I do a long 30 to 45 minute walk in the morning, another 45-minute walk, and look at Machado all the way to left field, brings in one, brings in two. 3-1 Padres. Nice. I try not to have any negative addictions. I think my main addiction now is exercise, and that's a good one to have. That's a positive addiction to have, eating healthy and exercising. But probably the worst thing, that I'm putting into my body is probably these energy drinks. But again, if I'm not drinking soda and I'm not eating fast food and I'm, trying to, not get diabetes, and I'm trying to, do things the right way, every once in a while, you got to splurge a little bit, right? Oh yeah, Double E is really happy. Next up is Jackson Merrill. (3-1) Padres. In the bottom of the second with 2 outs, runners at second and third. But I'm definitely excited about, Michigan State and the Ducks being on tomorrow, so I don't have to choose between that or WWE Bad Blood. So definitely we'll be doing the Ducks game, and then we're going to end up doing WWE Bad Blood on Saturday. Sunday, we'll do the Steelers and the Cowboys. And then Monday, it's the Chiefs, going at it. So So it should be kind of an exciting next 4 or 5 days. Oh, the energy drink puts you to sleep. But you also drink a lot of coffee and whatnot too. So your sleep schedule and your liquid intake is going to be a little bit different than most people here in the States. And also not a lot of people go through the pain and agony of going through physical injuries or a migraine like you do on a regular basis too. So obviously that probably has something to do, with everything that's, going on with you. And, doesn't get it. 5-1 Padres. This one's over already. Sorry, Captain Oreo, but the weaker team, is the Atlanta Braves. Now, if you did have Spencer Strider and you had Ronald Acuna Jr., as they show Tony Hawk there in the front row, but again, Padres, better team, better pitching, not as many injuries. They don't have to worry about someone like Strider or Acuna being out, even though they've been out almost the whole year. And again, what we talked about, right? We talked about maybe the Astros and Padres possibly being those sleeper teams that could go a little bit farther than maybe expected. Houston choked. The San Diego Padres did not. And again, I'm telling you this right now, there is a true possibility that the Dodgers or Phillies lose to the Padres this year. Like, it could happen. We already know the Dodgers and Phillies are the best. But again, if pitching is a little suspect in defense and the Padres end up bringing their A game, they could end up beating the Dodgers and the Phillies or both, and they might end up going all the way to the World Series. I don't know if they're good enough to win it all. We'll have to see who the team is on the other side, but I guarantee the Phillies and Dodgers are afraid of this team. They're not going to say it publicly, but the Padres match up very well to both teams. And in recent years, the Padres have kind of had the Dodgers number. Like when they matched up a couple years ago, the Padres ended up beating them a couple years ago. So the Padres aren't afraid. Look at all the Hall of Fame players that they have on the roster. Yeah, the Dodgers might have Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez. But when you look at the Padres, Luis Ariz, he's the best hitter in baseball. Fernando Tatis Jr., Hall of Famer. Machado, Hall of Famer. Bogarts, borderline Hall of Fame. Profar, all-star this year. So, they got a lot of pieces on top of good pitching and good defense. So, it's like, the perfect storm where you got a lot of good, all-star, potential Hall of Fame players, good pitching, and then you're obviously going to be maybe going against the rival. So if the Padres win, who do they match up against on the bracket? Is it the Dodgers? So, how does the bracket look like? So we have the Royals beating the Orioles. They advance. The Tigers advance. So did the Tigers play who? And the Royals play who? I don't have a bracket in front of me. And then obviously if the Mets advance tonight here as well and they hang on to that 3-2 lead, who plays who on the bracket? If someone can pull the bracket up, it would be great. So that way I can kind of get an idea just visually on what we might get to see here. Royals and Yankees. Ooh. Yankees definitely have the advantage, with Aaron Judge and company, but with Juan Soto as well and Giancarlo Stanton. But let's be real, Bobby Witt Jr. is amazing, right? That's what I was kind of hoping Julio was going to be. And Bobby is cementing himself, moving from third base, and he can obviously play shortstop, second or third. But Bobby has had a great year. Same thing with Francisco Lindor on the Mets. But when you go against guys like Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge overall for MVP, you're not going to win, especially when you get one guy that's leading almost all the statistical categories and then another guy, that ended up joining the 50-50 club. You're going to have a very, very good year, or you're just going to have to hope Shohei or Judge get injured a little bit, and that way that you have an amazing year and they still have a great year, but your year ends up being a little bit better. So maybe one day Lindor will win the MVP. Maybe Bobby Witt Jr. maybe will win the MVP next year or the year after. But as of right now, if Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge are healthy for the full year, it's going to usually be between those two. That's facts. Mets and Phillies. Phillies can beat the brakes off of them. I'm not even sure if the Mets even deserve to be in there, but, it is what it is. Top of the third, 5-1 Padres. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 20 likes. And we want to do 30 to 50 if possible. And obviously, we'll be shooting for 100 in the donos on every single stream. 2-1 pitch right down the middle for a strike. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Chopper towards third, foul. Musgrove wheeling and dealing. Max Fried, I see you. This is going to be tough. Sean Murphy in the box. 2-2 pitch. See you later. Bye, Sean. Big punch out there by Musgrove. Next up is shortstop Orlando Arcia, 2 away. As I say, Shep, not too happy about Atlanta. But again, you know, you have to recognize, like, if your team is strong and if your team is at full strength, like they were a couple years ago, then you know that they could go all the way, which they did. But this year, we already knew. No Spencer Strider, no Ronald Acuna Jr. There's no way you're going to be able to make it to the World Series, let alone win it without those 2 guys, period. So, I mean, they were still able to make it to the playoffs, but that's where the run ends. And it looks like it's going to end here tonight. I mean, even if Atlanta was at home with their games, you know, I still think that San Diego would have advanced. I mean, look at the other 3 teams on the road. It looks like all of them are going to advance. Musgrove. Another punch out. Next up, Michael Harris II. Pitches outside, 1-0 count, 5-1 San Diego. Yeah, I know Odin's son was having a shitty day yesterday. I kind of had a weird day yesterday too, you know, because again, I wanted to do the stream, you know, but I just really wasn't feeling the greatest. And I could tell that Paisley needed me. And, you know, sometimes you just need a me day. You know, sometimes you just need to, you know, just chalk it up. Not every day is going to, you know, be your best day. But you can also recognize when your day isn't going the greatest and then trying to improve it instead of, you know, just letting it be a shitty rest of the day. You know, go for a walk or, you know, doing something that makes you happy. You know, play video games, go for a walk, you know, talk to a friend, hang out with the NWSF, you know, whatever it may be. But it felt good to have a little extra time with Paisley. I mean, even though I'm spending about 21 out of 24 hours of every day with her anyways, but I can definitely tell when, you know, she gets a little bit more cuddly and a little bit more like she wants to snuggle and sleep or, you know, or play or go for a walk. So, and again, I want to make sure that, you know, she gets my full undivided attention. Plus, you know, I needed a day off anyways. I mean, I had another day off, you know, a few days back when I went to the arcade with my, you know, friend Justin. But if we're being real, I mean, I've only had a couple days off in the last 2 to 3 months total. I mean, I've been grinding pretty much every day for 2-3 months. So, you know, it's kind of nice to be able to, you know, have a day off here or there for yourself. So, A guy in the building, what's good? Raiders. That one chop foul. 5-1 San Diego. Earbuds. Yeah, you know, usually when it rains, it pours, you know. When you have one thing that happens and then you find out, oh, fuck, you lost this, or, you know, I don't have this right now. You know, sometimes you just got to make the best of, you know, of a day that just isn't, you know, going the way that you wanted. Higgy, there we go. Go to the bottom of the third, 5-1 San Diego. See who's up next here for the Padres. Next up for the Padres, first baseman Donovan Solano. Batting second baseman Jake Cronenworth. And batting third, the hero so far, 1-for-1 with a solo blast to get the run and the party started, catcher Kyle Higashioka. Let's go, baby. This thumbnail turned out really well. Yeah, losing a wallet is not good. You know what's really crazy? I think I've told this story before, but I've only lost my wallet and my phone once each. And I don't know what it is, if I got a guardian angel looking after me or whatnot, but I've actually got both of them back. And what are the chances of that happening? On my phone, it was I went to the coast, for the beach in Oregon, and I was going to these Mexican places and having like margaritas and eating good food, the nachos and the tacos, and going to the arcade. And then when I was making change for the arcade, and I was putting my $20 bill or whatever into the machine, I must have put my phone on the top of the coin converter, and then I walked away like a fucking idiot. And then luckily an employee of the arcade was right behind me and picked it up, but I freaked out, because then once I noticed that my phone was gone, I was like, fuck, it's got all my apps on there, they might be able to get into my banking info. I just got paid. It could have been really fucking bad, where I would have had to, go through fraud and everything to see what's going on. But luckily, one of my other friends was there after I left the arcade, went all the way back up and down the road at the Mexican restaurant and looking in the bushes like a crackhead, praying that I would find the phone. And I just told my friend, call my phone and let's just see if it's here. And then lo and behold, my phone was still on. And I heard my ringtone behind the counter of the bar, and lo and behold, I got it back. But I mean, let's be real. If that happens to you, you're probably only going to get your phone back one time out of 10, or maybe not even that. Maybe one time out of a 20 or one time out of 100. And then with my wallet too, I remember I ended up having my wallet fall out of my hoodie, in my hoodie pocket, when I was getting an energy drink, and I didn't notice until later in the day. And then luckily the employee at the location where I was living at the time picked it up, not a kid or an adult, otherwise all my shit would have been gone. So I don't know if I got like a guardian angel looking after me and whatnot, but I definitely got lucky by employees being honest and being nearby and getting my shit back. So but losing a wallet or phone, not a good feeling. Oh my God, for sure. And then you also got those people, which I learned, that still got their original social security card in their wallet, which is not something that you should be having in your wallet. But sometimes people are lazy and they just have it in there and then they forget, because you just never think you're going to lose your wallet, right? You always want to keep that separate, like in a bag in a drawer at your house, and debit cards, credit cards, license, IDs, all the other cards that you have. I mean, what a pain in the ass, and I definitely freaked out equally for both. But luckily enough, I was able to, get my stuff back the same day. Thank God, But hopefully that doesn't happen to you. That one chopped foul. 5-1 Padres. How are you doing, A-Guy? What's good, man? How are you doing overall? Obviously, with the Raiders and the Davante Adams news, probably not the best thing that you want to hear as a Raider fan. Now, you can get some compensation for him, but it's not Davante Adams. It's like, you got to have Jacoby Myers, and you can have Trey and a few of these other guys, but, it kind of sounds like the trade is going to happen, and they don't want to pay him next year, based on the money that they would have to owe. So it sounds like he'll probably end up being a Saint or a Jet. Those are the two that are the strongest candidates based off money and money available to afford him, and then also playing with Carr and playing with Aaron Rodgers, guys that he's familiar with. So. But not ideal. And obviously we already know Davante was not happy after they traded Carr away, because that was like his college teammate at Fresno State. And obviously he had a good rapport and bond with Aaron Rodgers before, obviously the, players ended up going to different teams. Throw to first, 2 away. Cronenworth is out. Next up is Kyle Higashioka. You already know it's a good sign when you get a home run out of your 9-hole. Anytime you get a home run out of your 7, 8, 9 hole, it really motivates the rest of the lineup. Oh, man. Sometimes it shows you that there's a lot of shitty people and a lot of dishonest people and a lot of liars and a lot of just terrible people that are out there. But it does restore a little bit of faith in humanity that there are a few good people out there, that won't steal your money, that won't try to get into your fucking bank account, And obviously when I go walk with Paisley, just in the last 6 months, I've found 2 cell phones, one that I couldn't, open to be able to find a contact, to give it back to the young girl that dropped it. So eventually that ended up, what can I do with that? She ended up getting probably a new one anyways. But there was a phone that was unlocked from a lady that was like a dog walker that crashed. And, and it was like down the road from where I was at. And then I ended up calling her neighbor, and the neighbor ended up meeting me outside. And then I ended up dropping off the phone. But everything was available. Again, if it was someone that was dumb or someone that was trying to scam, you can go into like, Cash App or Venmo, but of course they're going to track that. So if you try to open up someone's phone and send yourself Cash App from someone, they're going to figure out where it went, But again, it just made me feel kind of good that I was able to help someone out that would have had a terrible day, knowing that maybe they have to replace not only the phone, but some of their, information with their banking account and some of their Venmo and Cash App and things like that. So, but I found quite a few things, I'm trying to remember if I found any wallets yet. I don't think I found any wallets yet, but 2 cell phones so far. But I've also found keys. And I actually found, which is crazy, like one of those community mailboxes. It actually had the car key, like unlock with the key and the mail key. And the person was my neighbor that lived, a few houses down. And, obviously it was stuck in the mailbox. So they probably got busy. They were on the phone. And then they, went to go get the mail. And then they just left it there. And so I ended up, grabbing the mail, locking it. And then I knocked on the door. I'd never met the woman before, and I just, said, here's your mail. You don't want anyone stealing your car. And I could definitely tell the relief on her face, because that could have been really bad. Because the car was right there in the driveway. So someone literally could have just been like, okay, where's the car? Here's the mail. And they have all the information, then goodbye, So sometimes it pays to be a good person, where you can end up doing something that maybe some other people wouldn't have done, or maybe when you were younger and you're a little bit more mischievous, that maybe you don't give that back right away or at all. But those are usually the things for me. It's typically keys, or phones, but no wallets yet. But definitely, if I ever found one, I would definitely try to give it back. Yeah. Oh, really? Well, and obviously those guys are both leaders on both sides of the ball, right? And they both kind of respect each other, and they're both beasts. One's a beast on defense, one's a beast on offense. They're both Hall of Fame players. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but hopefully things get a little bit better. Brett in the building. How are you? I miss you. I love you. They barked at him and he couldn't take it, huh? Obviously, he's probably frustrated too with his hamstring injury and not having Carr there anymore, not getting the ball enough. You know how the diva mentality is at wide receiver. Even if you're, you can have stats for yourself, but also you want to win games. And it just hasn't been the best situation there for the Raiders. Big punch out there. Musgrove with his 4th punch out. 5-1 Padres. Yeah. Do you like Pierce as a head coach? Do you want him back next year as coach, or do you want someone else? Cool kid in the building. What's good? How you doing? How you doing in fantasy and whatnot? Everything going okay with the, the wire? And I mean, obviously, if you're doing the family league, there's not as many people. You already have an all-star starter, all-star starting lineup, an all-star bench, but there's still gonna, be people that you may want to, grab from the wire. Maybe not as often as someone like us in our league, where the wire sometimes gets pretty thin because everyone is grinding away. Little dribbler towards third. Machado, throw to first. Got him. 2 away. Yeah, I mean, my roster has changed so many times. I'm already at like 50 fucking moves just because, I've never lost this many times, in the first 4 weeks. Like, I've never lost in week 2. I've never lost in week 3. I've never lost in week 4. I've never lost in the first month in week number 2, let alone lost back-to-back, let alone back-to-back-to-back. I have never started off a season 1-3, but I guess, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, AR being shitty, Anthony Richardson, no tight end help, with Laporta. When you got 4 guys out of 9 that aren't producing, and then you have to keep blowing up your team every week to try to find other pieces to help. I feel I've done a good job, getting there. And also I've had the most points scored against me out of anyone in the league by a lot. First place team has had 110 less. So that shows you when you're 4-0 and you have 110 less scored against you. Yeah, Reflect is going to be 4-0. He's only had about 100 points against him. And I'm sitting at like fucking 525 or something. And that's first. For points against. That's not good. It's like I had to get everyone's fucking Super Bowl effort in the first month. I mean, I won the first game, even though I didn't have access to McCaffrey. But Cooper Kupp was at least there doing some things for me. But weeks 2, 3, and 4, I got Chiefs best, opportunity, which did not feel good. Obviously, got beat up there, got beat up by Reflect, got beat up by Shep. And yes, last week hurt because I literally would have beat everyone last week. Everybody. I beat everyone except Shep. And so, lo and behold, the one person that scored the most points, of course, I had to play that person. If I would have played anyone else, I would have been 2-2 at this point. But, that's fantasy football for you. At some point or another, you're going to have injuries. You're going to make mistakes in the draft, which is something I normally don't do. Maybe I should have grabbed more rookies and, tried to go for guys like Neighbors and Daniels. And, maybe I'll have a different strategy next year. Definitely not picking McCaffrey ever fucking again in fantasy. Probably not Cooper Kupp either. And again, it's like, once you get done dirty by a player, you never forget. And then your strategy changes and you have your group of guys that you like to draft every year because you know that they're reliable. And anytime you end up taking a chance on someone new when they had a good year last year, it just seems like it ends up biting you. And injuries have been brutal this year. We've had low numbers out of quarterbacks, tight ends, almost useless. And again, a lot of season-ending injuries or injuries that are extended more than a week or 2. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, IR, half of a year. Those are hard to come back from. 5-1 Padres. Yeah, send me your lineup and I'll take a look. Matt in the building. What's good, brother? Uh-oh. What were you making? How did you burn the crap out of your wrist? What were you making? There's only a couple ways you can burn your wrist, right? Cooking in the kitchen, right? Or if you're making s'mores in the backyard. That's probably the only 2 ways. Or I guess maybe with a curling iron if you were doing your hair. Number 3. Yeah, but also, too, you've had the most points scored against you as well as myself. Like, you and me have gotten more people scoring against. I mean, it's hard, when you're not getting enough production, yourself, and then you end up getting everyone's fucking A+ effort, where all their guys are hitting, And then also, if you do leave guys on the bench where you had a chance to win and you fuck up, you should have put Kelsey in and you did Pitts and you paid the price. And also at the beginning, you wanted to go double tight end, and that's usually not a good thing to do, where you went Pitts and Kelsey. Now, if the tight end position is on fire, then you might be able to get away with that. by going with a tight end and a tight end in your flex. But most people that do that strategy, it does not work very well, unless you end up having like Travis Kelce and Sam Laporta like last year, then that might have worked, but again, like I had Mark Andrews and Laporta. Andrews got hurt. Now he's useless, so again, Laporta filled in for him, but it's very difficult to be able to do, a tight end and a flex tight end to get more points than a wide receiver or running back. Most of the time, your running backs and wide receivers are going to score more, but we're both against, our backs are against the wall. But at least, with you, by getting Fields, even though he might have some 11 to 15 point games, and he will have some games that give you 20 to 40, at least now when you look at your projected number, right, you're sitting at a good number, 125 and above. You want to be at 125 to 135. That's when you have beast players and everyone's projected for a high number. Or you can look at a team like mine where all my guys are fucking hurt, where I can barely even get projected to 110. And that's when you got to pray that when you're projected for 100 to 110, you're not necessarily looking like very good on paper, but you got to hope that some of the guys that are on your team blow up. And, they might be projected for 10, but they hit 24. Or, you got a kicker that's projected for 8 and they get 20. You got to be able to make up the difference somewhere, somehow. But I'm really, hoping for the time where I can look at my lineup and I see a projected 125 to 130 and feel good. Like, okay, my team is strong. And at least you have that now. You didn't have it before, but now you have it with Fields. And it's going to, there's going to be some games where he's not going to be projected to score as many. You're not going to have 20-point projected from Fields every week. But he's definitely looking like he's, kind of turning the corner and turning the page. And I know that's going to be a good piece for you, especially with you, drafting Mahomes and me drafting AR. We fucked up. We made mistakes there. Mistakes were made, but again, you just got to be able to find a way. But now you got Justin Fields. I got Sam Darnold. I'm feeling good. You got a top 6 quarterback. I got a top 5. So as long as they play hopefully decent the rest of the year, we'll have a chance. As long as those guys don't get hurt and whatnot. But man, great win for you guys, man. When you have great pitching and great defense and you have Skubal, you already knew you were going to win game 1. And then obviously, getting a bases clearing, opportunity, bases clearing single in the 8th. It was, that was all she wrote. So congrats on that. Okay. Ooh, meatloaf. Roasted peppers with lemon. Ooh. Oh, no. I hope you're okay. One time when I was younger, in my early 20s, I opened up the oven, and then as I reached in, with the oven mitt on, right, and I was pulling out, cookies or whatever that was in there, lasagna, and then the lid came up, and it ended up hitting like my forearm, and it ended up, I had a big, mark, and it burned the shit out of me. I don't know how hot it was in there, 300, 400, but it got me, and that thing was on my arm for a long fucking time. It hurt. So and again, I think when you end up having those bad, memories, then you know how they have those professional kitchen like Gordon Ramsay oven mitts that they go on your hand, but they go up like halfway up your arm. I actually had to end up buying one of those because I was so afraid of that shit happening again that I didn't trust like a normal oven mitt for a couple years. I was like, oh, I gotta wear this big ass like Freddy Krueger glove type thing when I'm pulling out things out of the oven, because I just didn't trust that hinge on that oven from coming up and burning my forearm again. So hopefully you'll be doing a little bit better. Cheese from pizza. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. But I haven't burned myself since that point. I'm definitely way more cautious now. but also too, depending on if you're smoking or drinking or partying, then that obviously can affect a little bit of your judgment and your kind of process time on how you think things are going. Sometimes things are going a little bit faster than you think, or depending on what mind state you're in. So let's go to the bottom of the fourth inning, 5-1 Padres. All right, let me take a quick look. Yeah, Daniels is money. I wish I had him on my team. I got Mason, Jean, DK. Reed is great. Kelsey is probably going to have his numbers go up now since Rashee Rice more than likely will be out for the year. AK-41 has been great this season. Aubrey, number one kicker, I have him as well. Money every single week. Connor, I have him. You got Brees. Neighbors, amazing. Probably has a concussion though. Not sure if he's going to be cleared by this weekend. I'm on Raw with the bye. You got a good team. I mean, obviously you're doing family league, but it doesn't get any better than that. That thing, it looks amazing. Like, that's exactly what I would want my team to look like, based on playing people there. So it looks very good. Very, very good. And obviously, if you weren't, in a family league and, obviously there's more people playing, you're not going to have as many, superstar players like that. But based on, what you have and, what you're going against, you should be able to win your league with your family, with a roster like that. Right. And Goddard has projected himself all the way to the top tight end because everyone else has been hurt. And, when you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith injured, then they don't really have a whole lot of options, right? It's either Saquon or it's Goddard. So Goddard definitely has taken advantage. So I got good football juju. I told you to do Jaden Daniels instead of fucking Jalen Hurts before, right? So I'm not going to steer you in the wrong way. And it's not my fault that I ended up having the most, points scored against me in the first month. I've never been 1-3 before in fantasy. I've finished in the top 3 every year. I've never experienced this type of adversity before, But again, that's what happens when you end up getting Christian McCaffrey for the first time, and you may not even be able to use him all year. Most people that have McCaffrey are 0-4 or 1-3. There's not very many people that have been able to, come back because, again, you got to think, McCaffrey's a guy that can put up 25 to 50. If you don't have 25 to 50 in your lineup, that's big. That could be the difference between you winning and losing that week. And then on top of that, no Cooper Kupp, which is like 20 to 30 points also. So it's like I'm missing out on 50 points a week, that I would typically be getting. So yeah, there's other options. I can, I got Jordan Mason, the backup, and he's been doing pretty good, typically like 10 to 20 points, but he's not going to give me like the McCaffrey 30, 40, 50-point game. At least he hasn't done it yet this year. So, and then obviously, there's not a lot of people that can put up numbers like Cooper Kupp either. There's a few wide receivers that are elite, but, Cooper Kupp is definitely one of those rare breeds when he's healthy. But we'll see what happens. I still have faith that I can come back and I can still end up getting the last spot in the playoffs. It's going to be hard as fuck, but I still think, for me and for Captain Oreo and Sarah, we're all at the bottom at 1-3. Some with bad decisions, some with bad luck. But again, there's a good chance that all 3 of us win this week. And if that happens, then there's going to be a shitload of 2-3 teams. And again, it's anyone's, game. Again, we have 1 4-0 team, 1 3-1 team, and then everyone else is 2-2 and 1-3. So, I mean, it's not like, we're so far back. Just got to be able to, get a dub and just, get into the win column. Nice hit there by Fernando Tatis Jr. 3 for 3 for Tatis. Next up is left fielder. Hit it far, throw it far, Jurickson Profar. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 20. We're still looking for our first dono on the dono train. Another reason why I didn't do the stream yesterday. I don't want to necessarily, work stream in and stream out if we're not getting the support. So hopefully we will get at least a little bit before the stream ends. Nobody wants to work at their job for free. So, and hopefully we'll end up, getting a few people to help out on that end. Popped up. Olsen running after it. And he got it. 2 away. Oh. Yeah. Well, but if you look at your team compared to everyone else's in the league, it's much better. I highly doubt there's anyone else that's got a well-rounded lineup like that. Like, you got beast players on every single level. So, which I imagine some of the other, teams have some pretty good players here and there, but not like your team. And then, again, we're going to end up doing this game here. Then we're going to be doing the Ducks and Michigan State tomorrow. We'll do WWE Bad Blood Saturday afternoon. Then we're going to be doing the Cowboys and the Bears on Sunday. And then on Monday, we're going to end up doing the Chiefs game. So we're going to have a lot going on here in the next few days. Chiefs and the Nolans Saints. That should be a good one. Might be a little bit lower scoring, but it'll be interesting. I don't know if we're going to get that. I think a lot of the fans have been wanting this for years, but we just never have gotten it. At least one of the teams ends up choking and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, Yankees, we'll see what happens. And obviously with the Dodgers, if they don't have to face the Padres, then they'll be fine. But if whoever has to face the Padres next, Phillies or Dodgers, that is the team that might lose. It wouldn't surprise me if the Padres advance, against the Phillies or the Dodgers, even though we know the Phillies and Dodgers are the best. But I mean, look at the playoffs so far. I mean, you got 3 teams that are, we got to see if the Mets can pull it off, but we have 3 road teams. Like, everyone thought Baltimore had a good chance, that Houston could be hot, right? I don't think anyone thought that the Brewers or the Mets were good. They're both dog shit, but again, they made the playoffs, and if you get in, anything can happen. But for the Mets in Detroit and for KC to win, that's a little shocking. I think that a majority probably thought that Houston would make it close with Detroit, but Detroit got hot, got healthy, better pitching, better defense, and they got it done. Parker Meadows and company. I think Baltimore not winning was shocking to a lot of people, and I don't think really anyone gives a shit about the Brewers or the Mets. They're both not really that good, but someone's got to advance. And then obviously with this particular series, I already knew that the Padres more than likely would advance, because if you don't got Ronald Acuna Jr. or Spencer Strider for the whole year, how the hell are you going to advance? And the answer is you're not. So Manny Machado in the box, 2-0 count. Yeah, so you'll never drop him since he's the #1 receiver. You'll put him on your bench. You don't want to make a drastic error like that where you're arguably your best player on your team. So anyone that gets hurt, you just put them on your bench, and then you just wait for them to get healthy. So what will happen in the next couple days, the reports will come out if he's practicing or if he's able to pass concussion protocol. So, each day, just be looking at his name and clicking on it, and then looking at the details, and it'll tell you if he practiced or not. And realistically, he's probably not going to be able to pass concussion protocol. So you may want to try to grab, a backup receiver on the wire just in case. But if I had to take a guess based on what I saw and based on the doctors that have been talking about it, I would say that 90% chance he's not playing this weekend. And that obviously is a big loss for you and a big gain for me since I'm playing you. And he's the #1 receiver in fantasy. But again, you'll just keep clicking on it, but you probably won't know until probably Saturday. So Saturday, and Sunday, like before the games start, you'll know. They'll report it. They might wait to the very last minute to see if he can actually pull off concussion protocol. But But in the meantime, if you have a roster spot that's available or someone that you don't really care about, you may want to try to grab a receiver. So that way, at least you have another option there if you don't have one on your bench already, which you don't, because I already spy on your team and I know exactly who you have on your roster. So grabbing a wide receiver on the wire would be ideal for you. Yeah, but the thing is Rome isn't good. You're hanging on to Rome because he went to USC, right? Or you went to UW, and you got that connection with Caleb and whatnot. But with Rome, he's not good. Like I said, you just have to look at his numbers. Click on the name, look at how many points that he scored so far. If you don't want to drop Rome, you can keep him on your roster, but there's no one on planet Earth that has Rome on their team. He's just not a good player, at least not yet. And again, when you got a rookie quarterback who really isn't that good right now either in Caleb, again, you want to make sure you're maximizing your roster and getting guys that are actually going to help you. Because if you end up putting Rome in the starting lineup for Neighbors, what do you think is going to happen? He's going to get 0 to 5 points, and you're not going to be able to win that way. You're going to have to try to find a receiver that can potentially give you 10 to 20 points. So if you want to keep Rome on the roster, you're more than welcome to, but this is just me being honest. There's nobody that's rostering Rome. Like literally no one on planet Earth is even people that are diehard Husky fans or diehard Rome fans, even they are not rostering Rome because he hasn't been able to put up any good stat lines. If you're a receiver, you want at bare minimum, you want to be putting up at like 10 points. So that way you feel like, okay, at least I can get 10. But if you're not even able to hit 10 points and you're hitting like 0, 2, 5, that's not worth a roster spot. So if you want to keep them, that's up to you. But I'm just letting you know that no one on earth is keeping Rome. So, just to help you out. But if you want to keep them and you want to play them, you're more than welcome to do whatever you want. But I'm trying to help you win. So, but Rome is not good. At least he was good in college, but as far as fantasy is concerned, there's nobody that's rostering Rome. And again, that's the thing in fantasy. You have to look at the name. You have to do the research. You have to click on it. You have to look to see how many points he scored and see, is he getting targets? How many points is he getting each week? And if he's not, then you got to drop him. And if you hang on to a player like that on your bench and, there's other good players that were available, then you missed out on a really good replacement by maybe not hanging on to him too long and not doing the research. So again, to be good at fantasy, you have to do research. You have to click on the names. You have to be able to, go that route. But again, I would never lie to you. Like I said, back, gone. Jorge Soler with the homer. But again, sometimes, you got to get past like the name recognition part or liking a particular player from Pac-12 or a connection with Caleb. At the end of the day, you got to take your feelings aside and you just got to look at stats. It's all about stats and analytics, and that's how it goes if you want to be successful in fantasy. Nice homer there by Jorge Soler, 5-2 Padres. Next up, left fielder Ramon Laureano. Yeah, I mean, just to let you know, like if you actually look at me, I already put in more work than anyone else, but I've already made 51 moves. 51. We're in fucking week 5. 51 moves. So if you're not making moves, and other people are, you're going to be able to see people, like I'm looking at my roster compared to what it was when I started. I mean, I have so many new pieces, but again, you have to, be able to upgrade your roster every week, and make sure you're filling in the gaps. And, otherwise, if you end up not doing that, other teams in the league are getting better, and then you're going to get worse because you're, especially if you got guys that are on the bench that you're never using and they're just collecting dust, when you could get rid of those guys and actually get a piece that you could use. Because that's my thing. You always want to have pieces on your bench that you would consider using in your starting lineup. You never want to have pieces that are just sitting there. If you end up doing that, eventually it's going to come back to bite you, because there's going to be a lot of talent that would have been sitting on the wire that you could have picked up and made those moves. But then someone like me
woke up at 3 in the morning and snagged all those, good players while everyone else was busy, sleeping or not paying attention or thinking that their bench was good enough, to make it through a season. You have to make sure you're making the moves. Let's go Kraken. But Rome's rank is 57, and average points is 8.2. So Rome has had one good game. So he hasn't been like 100% dog shit. But he's had 2, which is terrible, 5, which is terrible, 23.4, which is awesome. That's a good one. And then a 2. So you only have one good game out of 4. That's not worth a roster spot. It just isn't. There's going to be someone else out there. Like if you go and look at my bench and you look at like my players, I try to find guys that are hitting 10 every week or more. Like it's all about consistency, and you want to make sure that you're doing that. So we'll see. Hopefully Neighbors will pass concussion protocol for you, but I don't think he will, based off the hit and they have to have it passed, from neuro and all the doctors. So he might, but my gut tells me he won't be able to pass it in time because they are very strict about that now with, CTE and the concussions. It was a lot easier a couple years ago to be able to be like, oh, I got a concussion, I'm fine, even though if you weren't, and they would just let him play. But now with CTE and with all these other brain injuries and all these other things that are going on, they definitely have stepped up the protection of the players, even though that they want to play, but they're looking out for their safety too. So. Back to the wall. One away. Yeah, for your league, it's different because you're doing like a family league and you got, less people, that are participating. So you have like an insane lineup. Like you literally have like all the best players on your team. Like I don't even know what other players are on these other teams. They're not as good as yours. So, as long as you pick the right players, you should be winning almost every week. But for everybody else, that's in, like a 10-man league, that started at the beginning of the year, and people are actually working the wire, it's harder to be able to build a superstar roster, not only with your starters, but your bench. You got to do a lot of work. But again, for you, your circumstances are definitely a little bit different, compared to like a standard league that we're in. But yeah, you send me the other teams and whatnot. But I highly doubt anyone's beating you based off a roster like that. Yeah. Well, more than him too. Junior Seau, and a lot of these players, which is outside, 1-0 count with the splitter, but you get these people that end up, not only having depression, and they, are so used to playing football and then they don't have it anymore, that routine, and then they drink or they party or they do pills or they get depressed or they have anxiety. And then obviously some of them ended up becoming suicidal or they had CTE and then some of them aren't with us anymore. So again, the amount of concussion and hits, and also you see it with wrestlers too, with the chair shots, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, for a lot of those people, obviously a lot of them can end up passing away due to health concerns. Got him! But a lot of those people ended up having like CTE type of symptoms, and, a lot of wrestlers aren't alive nowadays either, so. Yes, you do. You always get flowers. I will give you flowers. We will be in Spain, but not pain with no S. Okay? But hopefully your arm is okay. 5-2 Padres. Top of the fifth with 2 outs. John Murphy in the box. 1 ball and 1 strike. 5-2 San Diego. Pitch is low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. All right, let me take a look at this. Oh, yeah, it's definitely not as good. I mean, he's got some pieces, that are good, but not an overall roster like you. Like Henry, Taylor, CD, Jay Jetta, right? Koo, Devontae, and now he doesn't have Rashee Rice. But there's a lot of these players on his team, that are second tier compared to your team. You got all the heavy hitters, but Burrow, right? Laporta hasn't been good. Tyreek is unusable. Goff, right? Ayuk, Amari, Drake London, Rashee Rice is like top tier. Devontae is top tier, right? Jetta, CD, Taylor, and Henry are top tier. But other than that, all the others are just kind of like good players. They're not like elite. You got a lot of the elite players, top to bottom, even the bench. That roster is not even close. Like the only thing that's going to keep him, from not getting blown out is if like Henry goes off like he did last week. You get, 30, 40 from Henry. You get 20, 25 from Taylor. CD gets 30. Jetta gets 30. Like if you can make up, but you're not going to get a lot from Burrow or Laporta or Tyreek or Goff or Ayuk or Cooper or Drake. A lot of these guys are, they're going to be boom or bust. A lot of those guys that he has. I mean, Rashee Rice was a big boom, but now he's hurt. So, like on his bench, I mean, it's like you got Rice. Obviously, that was in the starting lineup probably, but there's only like one boom player on the bench with Devontae, and all the rest are kind of more boom bust, right? Not consistent. And then obviously Henry, Taylor, Lamb, Jetta, those are boom, 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 right? But then everything else is kind of more bust. Burrow, Laporta, Tyreek, a lot of that's not. I mean, compared to your team, you definitely did it right. So you should be able to, even though he's got some good wide receivers, and he's got Henry and Taylor, and I don't think Taylor is going to be playing this weekend either, with the ankle and whatnot. So, I mean, even your bench would be able to beat his starting lineup. That's when you have like a really fucking good team. Is that like you have two teams? You have a starting, lineup, and then your bench is almost another starting lineup. And if your bench could beat some of the teams' starting lineups in the league, that's when your team is like legit. It's like when your bench team can end up beating the starters on other teams. That's when you got an amazing roster. Oh, right into the gap. Jackson Merrill. 2 doubles for Jackson Merrill. Your dad went for the 3 quarterbacks. That was not a good strategy. I mean, and obviously there's some boom players, there as well. Next up is Xander Bogaerts. Allen, Barkley, Montgomery, Nico. Those are nice. Devontae Smith, Lamar, Kyron, and then Mike Evans. So, I mean, you got some, but not, way too many quarterbacks. Like, why? You'd be like, Dad, why? Josh Allen, Mahomes, and Lamar? Like, Mahomes shouldn't even be rostered. Just dump him, and just go with Lamar and Josh Allen. If you would have gotten another running back or wide receiver for the Mahomes spot, the team would have been much, much better. Yeah, your dad's got no chance. Oh my God, your sister, your competitor. I saw a photo of you and your sister. Kyler, who's been good. Gibbs. I have Pollard, and Pollard actually has been pretty good. Singletary. Waddle is, no value because you have no quarterback there. Bowers, nice. He's been kind of up and down in the last couple of weeks, but still been pretty good. Dak, Etienne, Echan, Diggs, Godwin, Kittle, Harrison. It's like your sister's got like a lot of players that are more like B+ players. But again, if you have enough of those B+ players in the lineup together, sometimes they'll end up doing more stats than the A players do, depending on the matchup. So, but yeah, your team is by far the best out of the 4 or 6 that are participating. Little chopper towards third. Urshela. Yeah, he definitely messed up the whole draft. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see on how the run defense will be, as well as the offensive line. Again, at some point we're going to get beat, and like I said, I really feel out of all the years that I've been watching the Ducks since like the 80s, this is like the first team that I don't really feel a connection to. Like, I feel like we have a lot of backups that are out there, and it's not the type of team I'm used to watching, And again, with all the recruiting and all of the, NIL money and the transfers and everything, like, if you're Georgia, Bama, or Ohio State, that's the cream of the crop in Texas. Oregon does not belong in that conversation. Now, we'll see what happens as the year goes on, but at least we're playing better than what we did at the beginning of the year, where it looked like we were going to lose 4 or 5 games and be like 7-5, 8-4. Now it looks like we'll probably be 9-3, 10-2, or we might lose a couple, Ohio State and maybe another one, possibly 2 games besides Ohio State if we take a team for granted or they punch us in the mouth early and, we just have a bad game, but I don't think that this team is very strong at all. They're very weak. Like I said, the running backs are weak. The wide receivers are weak. Dylan Gabriel's like a Tim Tebow 3.0. The offensive line isn't where it needs to be. The defense is one of the strongest parts of the team. But again, how long are they going to be able to sustain on that side of the ball until injuries hit? So we'll see where it goes. I do think that we're going to be able to beat Michigan State, but we're going to get blasted by Ohio State unless the defense ends up playing a game of their life. No, don't drop Kittle. Anytime you end up having a superstar player, you just put him on the bench. The only player that you would be dropping at tight end would be like Mark Andrews, a guy that's getting zeros. But for a guy like Kittle, he's actually been maybe the best tight end in the first 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Bowers was good. Trey McBride was good. Then Trey McBride got hurt. Bowers had a couple off games. But I'm thinking, out of all the tight ends, if I had to choose one that would be on my team, it would be George Kittle. So I would definitely not drop George Kittle. Like, again, for someone to drop a player, they have to be doing very, very bad. Again, you want to make sure that if they're a good player and they just have a couple bad games, but they're still doing good, on a few of the other weeks, you just put them on your bench and wait for them to get better. Or if they're hurt, you got to monitor that. But there's no planet that, there's no world that I live in that, you'd be dropping Kittle. I mean, he's probably the best tight end that's playing right now. So. No, there's no scenario you drop Kittle. I mean, unless you want to drop the best tight end in football, which no one would do. So, you're not going to drop a player like that. Whether that's against Brandon, if you want to send me your starting lineup in your other league, I can help you. If you're trying to beat Brandon in the nest or whatnot, to kind of give you your best chance, based off your lineup to win. I can give you a kind of like a little peek to see what you got going on there, because I don't even know what your team looks like over there. But yeah, there's no scenario at all, even the whole year. The only way that Kittle would ever be dropped is that if he ends up tearing an ACL and he's out for the year, then you drop him. But if he doesn't have his leg fall off and he's out for the year, you keep him on the bench or he's in the starting lineup. So hopefully that'll answer that question. I wish I had George Kittle on my team. I'm not, Top of the 6, 5-2 Padres. Next up for the Braves here, 0 for 1 with a K, shortstop Orlando Arcia. Batting second, center fielder Michael Harris II. Batting third, second baseman Ozzie Albies. 5-2 San Diego. And if the Padres, can hang on, which I assume they will, then they will advance and move forward, and the Braves season will be done. Jeremiah Estrada entering the game, 2.95 ERA, 61 innings with a K rate of 37%, walk rate of 9. Big swing and a miss. Oh, okay, Brewers. Man, Estrada's got some crazy grip. Oh-2 pitch, pitches inside, 1-2 count. I'll take a look at the slate here real quick. What do we got this weekend? All right, so we got Bucks Falcons tomorrow, and then we got Jets Vikings in London. Go Sam Darnold. We got Ravens and Bengals, Colts and Jags, Dolphins Patriots, Browns Commanders, Bills Texans. It's a big game for the Bills to get back on track. Panthers Bears, Raiders Broncos, Cardinals Niners, Packers Rams, Giants Seahawks. That's a good team to play against after what happened there at Detroit. To get back on track. Cowboys and Steelers on Sunday night, and then Saints Chiefs on Monday night. So got some pretty good matchups moving forward. Michael Harris is second, 3 for 6 this series. 0-1 pitch. Pitch is outside. 1-1 count. She said, baby. Well, I hope you can beat the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins look really bad. I mean, even if there's, some pieces that might get replaced. I was reading, through some of the Patriots blogs and vlogs and whatnot that Ramondre Stevenson might get benched and they might go with the backup now. Again, fumbling problems, and you got to make sure you have your best players out there and whatnot. Even though we know Ramondre Stevenson, when he's playing well, he can get in the end zone and can get 80 to 100 yards. But if they feel they need to go and make a change, that might happen as early as this weekend, as supposedly. But we don't know if that's true or not. We'll see. But at least some of the other backups are going to get a little bit more time, it looks like. Right. But, man, their quarterback play is terrible. Like Tyreek and Waddle are, like I said, they've almost given up, like effort-wise. So as long as you guys just go in there and, you have that mentality that you're going to just go out there and blast them, you will. I'd be very shocked if Miami beat New England this weekend. There's no scenario on planet Earth where they should be able to beat you. I mean, hell, even with Drake May quarterbacking, you would be able to beat them, I would think. So, I mean, Miami might be one of the worst teams overall. They look terrible without Tua. I mean, they couldn't even beat an 0-3 Titans team. So, Harris popped up. Nice little base knock there into left field. Harris aboard with 1 out. Next up is second baseman Ozzy Albies. No, I think you guys will play pretty damn well. You know, I mean, if you're going against maybe the worst team in football, I mean, you don't want to lose to them. You know. Pitch is outside. 1-1 count. All right, we need 6 more to get to 20. And hopefully we'll get a few more people that will hop in and say hello before we end. We need 5 more to get to 20. And we're still looking for our first dono train to get started. 5-2 Padres. I got a lot of new shows on the calendar. We got tomorrow, Law and Order, SVU, Law and Order, Organized Crime. Love those. Mountain Men. That's also tomorrow. The Unexplained and the Proof is Out There on History Channel on Friday. Boom. Ancient Aliens on Monday. Boom. Life Below Zero on Tuesday. Boom. American Pickers and Expedition Unknown on Wednesday. And Frank Fritz died yesterday, which was had me a little bit down. I know he had a stroke. And then Mike and the rest, Danielle and Robbie, they all kind of pushed Frank away when he had his stroke. And then it ended up being Mike and his brother. And the show never was the same. I used to watch American Pickers religiously. And Frank was really what made the show good. And unfortunately, Frank ended up dying yesterday. And that kind of put me in a weird mood. And The Neighborhood debuts on the 21st. Comedy. And then going into November, what else do we got? Outer Banks. Yellowstone on the 10th of November. Cobra Kai and Silo on the 15th. I think that's all I have. Dexter Original Sin on December 15th. I went through my calendar and literally put all the new shows that they're dropping. I got way too many. Yeah, I still got to do the Hell on Wheels too. You are correct. Chopper towards third. Ooh, good defense. Go to second. Wow, double play. Safe. Wow. Manny Machado is ridiculous. Brewers won. So that one's going to go till tomorrow. Who do you think is going to end up winning that series? Do you think it's going to be the Mets or the Brewers? Could go either way. I mean, each team has won once now, so. But one thing is for sure, Buccaneers got to beat the Falcons. I got to be able to win tomorrow. You know, especially with all this bad shit that's happened to me in fantasy so far this year. I mean, I got to at least have something going. Top of the 6th with 2 outs, runner at first, 5-2 Padres. Yeah, I ended up just looking up because I typically, when it's the spring lineup and the fall lineup, I'll just end up finding a website that ends up listing everything, like what's on Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, regular TV, History Channel, Discovery, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and I gotta, have all my drama, comedy, my Alaska programs, even stuff that might not be my number one choice, like Outer Banks, but since I already watched it years ago, it'll be one of those things that I'll watch, Cobra Kai coming back for the last part. So, there'll be things that are on apps, that it might not be like my first thing that I'm going to dive into. But I actually just finished watching the first season of Silo like 3 weeks ago. So it's kind of cool that the next season is going to be coming up, and that's on Apple TV Plus, and that one's pretty cool. It's like based on the future, and people live underground, and obviously in these deep silos, and there's like kind of a hierarchy on what you can do and what you can't do. very cool show. And I think Apple TV Plus has some of the best like sci-fi. And I'm really big into sci-fi type of shows too. So I'm always looking for, things that are unusual and different, futuristic. And I found that Apple TV Plus has a good, because not a lot of people subscribe to that compared to like Disney Plus and Hulu and Netflix. I feel like Apple TV Plus is like the one app that's probably the one that doesn't get subscribed to the most compared to the others. But I feel like the programming on it, as far as sci-fi, it's pretty cool. I don't think I would be paying for it monthly, but it comes as a part of my, T-Mobile package. I get Netflix and Apple TV Plus for free. So Reflect with a 20. I appreciate you, man. We were sitting at a 0 all day, and I get it. This isn't Mariners, and it's not football, and it's not hockey, and it's not wrestling. But God bless your soul. Thank you, man. I was thinking, I was going to do the stream yesterday, but I didn't want to get to a point where I got 0 and 0. That's not good for my mental health, to spend like 2 hours prepping for a stream and then making a thumbnail and then, doing 3 hours and then being at a 0. My brain can only handle so much, and that's kind of part of the reason why I didn't do the game yesterday, besides just me and Paisley spending extra time with each other. So thank you so much, man. Yeah. Having the Astros lose is great. You know that. You already know that, man. Again, you know how they are, and how they talk about us. So for them to finally fucking lose, they've already had their World Series run, and good for Scooball and the Tigers and MSU and all the Tiger fans. And it shows you, like I said earlier in the stream, if you have great pitching and great defense, that beats great offense every single time in the baseball playoffs. It may be different, in the NFL and in hockey and in basketball, because obviously, pitching and defense, it's a little bit different of a scheme, but again, it's like in the one sport where offensively, you don't have to be the greatest, right? But if your pitching and defense is better than everyone else, you're going to win. Even if you got like the number one offensive team, because the number one offensive team won't be the number one offensive team if your pitching is better and your defense is better. Then they become, instead of elite hitting team, right, they end up being average. And Scooball and the Tigers made them look average, and that made me smile and made me happy. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, little Cactus Jack, bang, bang. Appreciate you. And this thumbnail turned out great. So I'm glad that we got some representation in here. Captain Oreo with a tour. Thank you, man. And sometimes you just got to wait for that first person to show the love, and then others will do it. But again, sometimes when people are waiting for someone else to do it, and then that goes for 3 hours, then everyone's kind of pointing the finger. You do it. No, maybe this person will do it. And then you end up being at a 0 or a very low number. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. We're at 22, 78 to go. Oh, no worries. Absolutely. Absolutely, I am. Not going to miss that for anything. I mean, it's definitely a mid-card. It's not like WrestleMania or SummerSlam or Royal Rumble or Survivor Series or, one of those, Money in the Bank. But hopefully, it'll still end up being, good. And I enjoy being able to get, the football and the wrestling fans together, to be able to do that once a month. And then obviously once we go to Netflix on Monday Night Raw, there will be a possibility where we end up doing a Netflix Monday Night Raw watch party. I don't know how many times a month, but depending on what season it is, obviously if we have Monday Night Football, we're doing that instead of Monday Night Raw. But after football season's over, there will be an opportunity for some Monday Night Raw streams as well. So Daniel in the building, what's good? You're kind of running out of time, my guy. You got guys on the corners here, but it doesn't feel like it's going to happen. Go M's. Go Tigers. Right. I mean, that was the team that we hoped to be, right? And it kind of shows you, like, everyone thought the Orioles could make the World Series, but when you end up being good kind of for the first time, sometimes you get ahead of yourself. And again, you have like Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, but the pitching, really wasn't there, right? And the hitting wasn't there either. And Bobby Witt Jr. pretty much said, I'm the best player. Whoa! Big dono. Thank you so much, man. Boom, shakalaka. Oh, no worries. No worries. You know, you're always going to be a goat on the channel. And then luckily we got another goat to do big things here. Thank you so much. Stacks on stacks. Racks on racks. A little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. $200 dono. That's a big difference from being at 0 for 2 hours. And then now we're at 222. I would say that's a big improvement. But again, when you end up having people, you know, like Reflect and like Megan and a few of the other heavy hitters, it really does make the difference. So thank you so much. All right, perfect. Yeah, and obviously YouTube will end up, you know, taking, you know, their percentage out of it. But again, once I get it next month, because I have to wait until next month, I'll be able to, you know, shoot her some of the very generous donation money for her birthday. Thank you so much. Yeah, because I was going to say, let's see what it would have come down to. So it's like obviously on Cash App and Venmo, then I get more of a percentage on that. So let's see, just based on like my calculator here. So out of a 200, we'll probably get like probably 130 or 140. They take a lot, dude. You know, unfortunately, that's why I have to work so hard, you know, to kind of make up the difference and whatnot. You know, it's like if you do 100 on Cash App, you know, you'll get probably like 96 of it. If you do 100 on the Super Chat, you'll probably get about 65 to 70. You know, they really take a lot. It's usually like 30, 35%. They're very greedy, you know. So out of that, it's super generous. And again, so if we end up getting like 130, 140, that'll be like 70 a piece and whatnot. So I'll definitely, you know, as soon as I end up getting that the following month, I'll shoot Sarah a Cash App, and then she'll be able to get some new merch. It'll help her get like a new Colts like t-shirt or slides or you know, something Iowa related, and I know she'll really appreciate that. And of course I do here. That'll help me with Paisley. It'll help pay for the internet, get a bag of dog food, which usually costs me like $80 a month. So that will definitely go to good use, unless I end up getting maybe a new you know, duck hat or a Kraken beanie or something like that. I mean, I don't really buy anything for myself, but thank you so much for your generosity. And then in the future, you know, I'm not sure if you have Cash App or Venmo, Reflect, but if you want to go that route, I'm not sure if you have those apps or not. But again, then that would be able to give, you know, more to Sarah in that particular circumstance in the future, or myself. So, but either way, regardless of the percentage that YouTube is getting, most people are not doing this. And, you know, I really appreciate your generosity. And again, if you didn't show up in the room, we probably would have hit a 0 today. And I didn't want to do 2 zeros in a row for all my hard work. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. It means a lot. Joe Flacco. Yeah, but thank you. YouTube pays on the 21st. So I got to wait till the 21st of every month. And then on the 21st, if it lands on a Saturday or Sunday, then you got to wait till Monday. So it's like I only get paid once a month. So that's why if I get Cash App or Venmo, it helps me survive throughout the month. And if I don't get Cash App or Venmo, then I got to hope and pray that I have money in the bank to survive and pay for, you know, bills or whatnot. So, you know, normally when I was, you know, working other jobs, I would get paid weekly or bi-weekly. So to get paid once a month, you have to be very, very careful. You know, that's why I don't buy anything for myself. It's literally all bills or Paisley, nothing for me. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. And again, that'll be something that she'll enjoy. You know, obviously she loves Iowa, right? She loves, obviously, you know, the Indianapolis Colts. You know, maybe it'll be, you know, whatever she, want to. I mean, there could be some stuff there. You know, T-shirt or merch or a hat, or I mean slides. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff on the you know, NFL.com and NFL Shop. So I imagine that she'll be able to find something. But I'll put a reminder here in my calendar right now, so that way once that you have a new one. Okay, and the one that you just sent me, that's the new one. And then the other one, you fraud. Okay, I got your new one there. I'm going to put a note in the calendar here. All right, there we go. So I got to wait. And it is Monday. It falls on the debut of The Neighborhood, one of my favorite comedies with New Girl Schmidt. So, and also has Beth Bayers that used to be in another comedy show as well with Two Broke Girls. So on that particular day is when I'll get that. So let me add to The Neighborhood, and I'm going to put Sarah's birthday. All right, I'll put it in there. Yeah. And I know you can't, you don't have that. Well, you're in, for you, it's a little bit different because you're in Australia, but for everyone else, it's like in the States. So. Air in the building. What's good? Bottom of the sixth, 5-2 Padres. Tatis. And he goes to first. 3 for 3 day and a walk. He is something. I mean, there's a reason why I put him on the thumb. And I felt this one turned out really good also, too, with the PNG, with the MLB 2024 National League wildcard logo there. That makes it extra swaggy. Next up, throw it far, hit it far, Jurickson, Profar. Yeah, and and like I said, whatever you feel that you want to do. Like I said, if you're more comfortable just doing, through the super chat, do whatever you feel. Bottom line is, there's a lot of people that will never donate to me, or if they do, it might be a smaller amount. So any way that you want to be able to support me, Paisley, Sarah, or whatever the situation is, I'm incredibly grateful. So, obviously the percentages are a little bit better with the Venmo and the Cash App compared to, YouTube eating off all of their content creators. But again, there will still be enough, to go around even with their cut. And it means a lot. So thank you so much. We miss you, Air. It's been a minute. We haven't heard from you in months, man. You gotta feel good about Jordan Love and Jaden Daniels, and obviously the injury for a couple weeks was not ideal, but he's back now, and they got themselves something cooking over there in Green Bay. Popped up, and then your little brew crew ended up winning today, so you didn't get eliminated. So that's at least a good sign that you ended up winning 5-3, and you have a chance tomorrow to advance. So at least you got that going for you too. Anything you want to see photo-wise and whatnot, let me know. But again, to be at 0 and then have generosity like that, on top of generosity that started it off like that, and then Captain Oreo got in on the mix as well. Thank you, man. I was a little worried, too, because, again, anytime I end up doing a stream of something that's not really like our regular thing, like it's not Mariners, it's not Kraken, it's not NFL, it's not Ducks, it's not WWE, there's always a risk of not having enough people show up or not having anybody support, and I got to be very kind of strategic, on what we end up doing. But thank you so much for making this day special, and obviously special for Sarah as well, because there's not very many people that would have done that. And again, you recognize all the time and energy and effort that was put in. And I know I'm extremely grateful, and I know Sarah is too. So thank you so much, man. We appreciate you. Winker. Yeah, I saw that they were trying to fight each other, go to the parking lot and whatnot. What's going on? I'm going to be doing the WWE Bad Blood. Are you going to start being able to come through for the WWE PLE streams, or you got plans with friends? Or it'd be cool for you to be able to hop in with some of the other wrestling homies and whatnot. And we only do it once a month. And once Raw goes to Netflix, I'll try to do a few Raws, a month as well. I mean, especially when it's not football season. When it's Monday Night Football, we're going to probably do that instead. But once football ends, that'll be definitely something that we can do. There'll either be a Kraken game or Monday Night Raw or whatnot. So, yeah. So I got Ducks in Michigan State tomorrow. Then we got WWE PLE, not pay-per-view anymore, right? For Bad Blood, super excited about that, even though that's kind of a lower-end pay-per-view, right? And then we got what do we got? Then we got Bears and Cowboys on Sunday night, and then I'll do a few reaction videos, obviously in the early afternoon before that, like 2, and then Monday night we'll have a good one with the Chiefs and the Saints. Might be a little bit of a defensive battle, a little bit low scoring, but hopefully we get enough action offensively to make it, worthwhile and a decent watch. So we'll be definitely busy. And then once we get into Tuesday, then obviously we'll be doing some baseball streams for Tuesday and Wednesday, maybe Dodgers or something, depending on who advances. And then we'll be right back at it to Thursday Night Football. So, but Captain Oreo, anything that you want to see photo-wise, let me know. Reflect anything that you want to do, let me know. Sometimes I get taken aback, by certain people's generosity. We have certain goats on the channel, and we have people that will come and we have people that will go. And we have people that will leave and never come back. And we'll have people that will leave and that will come back. But you guys are definitely my tribe. And it's better, just like in real life, to have, a smaller amount of close people than just to have, hundreds of acquaintances where it's not really real, and I really do appreciate the bonds that we have, and especially the generosity that we have on this channel with all the hard work that I put in, as well as the mods, all the work that you guys put in. And, like I said, we missed you here, and hopefully you'll be able to be maybe more of a regular face on the channel. We missed you, man. I was going to message you a couple weeks ago, but I figured, you might be going through some mental health stuff, or maybe, going through some things at work or in your personal life. So I figured that at some point, with the Packers or with wrestling, that you would show up, and here you are. So maybe the sports gods, they were telling me something, and here you are. So I'm happy that you're here, man. You're always welcome here on the channel. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is the year, right, that as far as like Heisman, like there's going to be plenty of quarterbacks that are in the conversation, but his stat line will be at the end of the year probably more deserving than any quarterback, regardless if it's, a Quinn Ewers or an Arch Manning or a Cam Ward or anybody that is balling out of control, Shedeur Sanders and all these other guys that are going to be putting up stats between now and the end of the year. But if you're actually looking at, what Genty has been putting up so far, I actually sent a message to Reflect, coincidentally, a couple days ago, and the stat line is ridiculous. I mean, right now, he's a junior. He's 5'9", 215 from Jacksonville. He's got 82 carries, 845 yards, 13 TDs, an average of 10.3 per carry, and that's week 4. Like, we're only into the first month of the season, and he already has a season-ending total of 13 tutties. I mean, the guy's on pace for like 30 to 40 tutties. It's ridiculous. So, for me, I think it would be really cool to see a running back win a Heisman. He kind of gives me like, Ricky Williams, back when he was on Texas, you don't really see too many running backs, being considered, Ron Dane and a few of these other guys that we've had in the past, but definitely he is the best running back. I mean, we have others, Washington's got a good one with Jonah Coleman, right? Iowa's got a good one. Got him, but I think Genty right now is number one as far as running backs are concerned with that stat line. So M&M and Jelly Roll. Music always hits good too, especially if you are in a dark space. But again, we miss talking wrestling with you. I miss hearing your input and output of wrestlers in Japan. I don't have anyone else that is into Japan wrestling besides you, so I've been missing that in my life with you not being in it. So, and obviously we had some Julia and a few of these other people. Cora is back. So you're starting to see kind of the shape, of things that are happening in WWE, AEW, NJPW. Maybe not so much Impact, but popped up. 2 away. Bro, we haven't talked in a minute. Like I said, it's been a few months. I'm trying to even remember the last time that we actually talked, because normally when we talk wrestling first, and then it's usually a little bit of, NFL or a little bit of college football, and whatnot. But it's been a minute. How was it? Top of the 7th, 5-2 Padres with 2 outs, runner at first. Right. And I feel with AEW, it's definitely not as good as WWE. Obviously, we know with, when Vince got pushed to the side and with creative, during COVID, AEW was king, right? But after COVID, WWE, it's, not even close, right? But I've actually tried to put a little bit more effort on watching AEW as well. It's kind of more like ECW. Like, it's different, if you appreciate wrestling, you can still appreciate that. But the roster compared to what you're seeing on WWE, it's, a little different, based on, the matches and the show's overall success week in and week out. But, again, I still think AEW is worth watching. But again, they definitely lost a lot of fans to go to WWE. You got to have, your top end stars wrestling. And if you're not having Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Moxley, and, you got to have everyone wrestling, for people to care, to actually want to go out of their way to watch like Dynamite. I think one of the last big things I watched is when they ended up having like that double cage match with Perry and like the Young Bucks and everything. Like, I think that was one of the, last ones that got me really engaged, where I was like, wow, this is a great show. And I know they just got a new deal through Showtime, through some of like their pay-per-views, and they got some new TV deals. And obviously we know WWE is moving, off from Fox, and AEW might try to hop on there. And so AEW is going to get some new TV deals and new pay-per-view PLE deals. Same thing with WWE. So it's kind of interesting to see where wrestling is going. 2-2 pitch. Got him. Sean Murphy, see you later. Oh, they didn't wrestle? Yeah, they got to wrestle. And like I said, I've always enjoyed, what they bring to the table. But again, with Kenny Omega, I need to be able to have like my favorites. And I think that's a big part of why there was such a huge dip. I feel like the writing wasn't as good. The matches weren't as good. A lot of the superstars that I liked and that made me want to go out of my way to watch AEW were hurt or not available, or they weren't wrestling. So it's like, it was kind of easier to kind of keep up with like Raw and SmackDown and then the pay-per-views. But I feel like, with me being a fan of like ECW and WCW and the WWF back in the day, I still kind of have that love for that alternative style of wrestling, that maybe the name recognition isn't as popular, but they can still put on good matches. It just depends on if you're willing to invest your time. So. Trios match with Private Party and Shibata on Rampage. Yeah, I'm gonna have to start setting my DVR, for Dynamite, Rampage, Raw, SmackDown, and getting that all settled. And then we have the fall lineup of shows that I went over, and I got so many fucking shows that I watch. It's ridiculous. I mean, I do a lot of reading, but like tomorrow, Law and Order SVU, Law and Order Organized Crime. I love those. Those are my two favorite dramas. Mountain Men, great show. I love seeing people live self-sufficiently. I'm jealous of those people that have that work ethic. And anyone that works hard, I'm attracted to that. I'm attracted to people that work hard for their dreams and goals, whatever it is. And then we got Ancient Aliens, Unexplained and Proof is Out There on Friday, Ancient Aliens on Monday, Life Below Zero, another Alaska show on Tuesday, American Pickers and Expedition Unknown on Wednesday, Frank Fritz, rest in peace. He died yesterday. Kind of put me in a weird place. Outer Banks on the following Thursday. And then what else do we got? The Neighborhood on the 21st. And then in November, we got Outer Banks 2 on the 7th on the part 2. Yellowstone, love that show. That'll be on November 10th. And then we got Cobra Kai and Silo on the 15th. Yes, please. And then as we go into December, Dexter, Original Sin. That'll be on the 15th of December. So, I mean, I got it all linked up. So, like I said, I got plenty of fucking shows that I need to watch on top of, baseball and football and wrestling as well. So that shit hit me hard. Like it almost like put me in a funk where like I already knew he had a stroke, and I already knew Mike is kind of some people think he's a narcissist because obviously he's like the main guy and he's the bike guy and like he's very controlling, and him and Frank were like childhood friends. But then when Frank ended up having a hard time and had a stroke, they kind of pushed him out, and then they had Robbie, Mike's brother, come in with Danielle and then and with the other friend that they had on the show that has his shop. So it was kind of like they pushed him out, and I don't know, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I stopped watching after Frank wasn't on the show. Like I used to watch that show religiously because I connect with Frank because of the toys, and like I said, I'm a toy guy, so I loved his passion and his energy. And he was my favorite on the show, and I feel like they had a good dynamic together. But then after it was like Mike and his brother and Danielle, and then the other guy that is a part of the show now too, that has the shop that kind of fills in with Robbie, and they go kind of on locations together. I can't really remember his name off the top of my head, but Frank was really what made the show great. And I feel that after I was on social media and they ended up posting it on TMZ and a bunch of these other, social media followings, if you actually read the comments, almost everyone was like in agreement. They're like, the show hasn't really been the same without Frank, and that's true. And a lot of people had Frank as their favorite on the show, like me, so it's kind of cool. Like Frank in heaven, you can actually like look down and understand that he was the one that was the most loved and whatnot. Like, I feel like I didn't really mind Mike, in the beginning, but as the show got on further and further on, I could definitely see why people really weren't into the show after Frank left. It wasn't really the same anymore. Plus, a lot of that stuff on the show is staged. It came out, where they, pull up to the building and they're like, oh, hi, I'm Mike, here's a flyer. And they've already met the person. They already went to the location, but the camera wasn't on. So they already kind of know where they're going and what items are going to be looked at. So in the beginning, people thought it was more authentic and real, but just like on a lot of, reality TV, it's kind of, you find out that a lot of it is already staged and fake, where it's like they've already looked at some of the items, they've already met the people, and then they have to like pretend and act like, oh, hi, I'm Mike. Oh, hi, I'm Frank. But you've already met 10 minutes ago. And then now the camera's on, but I guess that's kind of how things are nowadays with, with those types of shows. Or if you're watching like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, or anything that's reality TV, most of Big Brother, all that shit is staged. It's not real. They try to make it as real as possible, but normally it's not. So, but I love that show when they were together. I mean, it was I'm a picker myself, so I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I ended up watching the very first year it debuted. I'm a big History Channel guy, but then when I saw after, he had the Crohn's and he had the stroke. And he just never was able to recover, and he wasn't even that old, like 58 years old. I'm like, golly, man. But I just didn't like the way that Mike and Danielle and Robbie, like they just did him dirty. Like they should have been there for him. And even if you have alcohol problems, or you have health problems and mental health problems, you got other stuff going on. You don't turn your back on your friend, let alone your partner. Popped up into the outfield 2 away. So the new season's going to come out, and I imagine I'll watch a little, but I don't get excited watching the show anymore like I did when Frank was there. So, yeah, like I knew at some point there was some stuff that was staged, but again, when you first started watching it, you're like, wow, this is cool. Like, I can totally connect with these guys. These guys have the passion on saving the history, and it's not just about, making money. Of course, you have to be able to survive, and they ended up, opening up another location in Iowa, and I went through that whole process and everything, and then they hired more employees, having other buildings, but then I started, kind of following up more and more within the last maybe 5 to 10 years on like what's really going on in the show. But then, like I said, once they booted Frank off, like I stopped watching. I didn't, but it definitely made me feel a certain way. Rest in peace, Frank. You were always my favorite, man. Frank Fritz for life, man. And I don't know if they're ever going to do like his collection, but to pay homage to Frank Fritz, it would be cool if the pickers actually went to his like house and like picked his stuff, not like, to sell it and like profit off of it, but just to be able to see, if the family was willing to part with any of the stuff, that would be kind of a cool tribute, for Frank, but I highly doubt that they would do that, I just don't like when people do people dirty that way. So, yeah. And I imagine, based off pressure of the fans, that when the season debut comes up, they're going to be like Frank Fritz, and it'll have the date of, when he was born and when he died, and a nice photo of him popped up into left field. And then, they'll have, some kind of, whatever. Maybe they'll even have like a little interlude or like a little preview where they talk for a little bit about him, or maybe they'll just flash his picture up, and that. But I don't know. I just, it kind of ruined the show for me. Like I really loved it, and then I just stopped watching. But now it's like I'm such a collector. I am kind of curious to see, what items and what people, are going to be there. So I will probably watch this season, but I haven't watched regularly since whenever it was, when he ended up having the stroke and then they kicked him off and whatnot. And, it's, but also too, it's like Mike and Mike, like in the ESPN, right? With Mike Golick and Greenberg. Like, just because people are on screen together doesn't mean they like each other. Those guys fucking hated each other, and again, it's like you might be able to talk sports or, do a show together, but that doesn't mean that people are best friends off screen, and at one point, Frank and Mike were really tight, but, obviously, Mike ended up, going through like a divorce and then I think, kind of got a little bit more kind of money hungry, and it was like this ego thing, but I don't think that he realizes it's like, yeah, you got Danielle and you got your brother Robbie and but the thing is like, I don't think that History Channel or himself or the people on the show realize how many people actually stopped watching. As long as they're making money, that's all they care about. But the ratings went down, and I don't think they realized that Frank was, I would say probably 90% of fans that watched that show, he was the reason. I think they're oblivious to that. They think, oh, they're watching it because of me. Not really. Again, it's like, I get it. Like, Mike likes bikes and he's got, the vehicle thing like Frank did, but I feel like Frank came off as more of a genuine, honest person, and Mike, I don't know, the word narcissist goes around based on a lot of the comments that I was reading and whatnot, and, being egotistical and money hungry. And, I don't know. I never will look at Mike the same way. So, and they should have, been there. How dare they? But I guess that's what happens, right? Just like in life, right? Some people you think are going to be there for you forever, and then you find out really what their true colors are. Especially when things aren't going right for someone, where they have an alcohol problem or a drug problem, or they have an illness, and then instead of being there, you pretty much just said goodbye. And then just try to bring in your brother and act like he didn't, like he didn't make the show, like he wasn't a big part of your friendship and your life. And, you guys pooling your money together to get the van and to cross, the country and to have the show and everything. Like, but I am curious. I will watch the first episode to see how they tribute him, or if, it would be really, it would be impossible not. I imagine even if they didn't want to, the producers are going to put up his photo on the opening credits. So, But I wonder if they'll end up saying some fake shit like this season is dedicated to Frank Fritz. We love him and we love you, Frank, and some bullshit thing that's they were told to say by corporate from History Channel or something. Like we're gonna definitely know if it's honest or if it's not. So. Yeah, I just that one hit me, man, and I don't really, and it's not too many people like on TV where it hits me like that. But he ended up being one of my favorites too. So popped up, back, gone. Wow, we have our game now. 5-4 Padres. Oh my, unbelievable. Michael Harris the second, 414 feet. Arcia scored, and then we have a game. Way to bring that electricity. I was about to say it would be really cool if we end up getting some kind of RBI or home run to make it like fun, like close, because it's been kind of like the game was over. It felt like for the last 3-4 innings, and now it's anybody's game. Top of the 8th, what a clutch home run. And not only was it a clutch home run, there was a guy on. So, I mean, going to 5-3, you're probably still losing. But now 5-4, you actually could come back. Wow. For your question earlier about who's going to get fired, probably what, Florida State's coach? That would probably be, I don't know who there's going to be a lot of coaches that are going to be under fire and whatnot, but I would assume based on what DJU and how things went, I would assume Florida State's coach would be the one that would be most deserving of a firing, but I don't know if that will be the case. But that's just like, off the top of my head, as I saw that scrolling up. Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, he went through so many weight changes as well, where he was chubby and then he was skinny and then he went on a diet, and then he had some like disease stuff and then ended up having the fucking stroke. That fucking hurt my heart. I remember when I read that he, ended up having the stroke. I was like, oh God, man, like, because you just knew that chances are he's not going to ever be back on the show, and that kind of fucking hurt me a little bit, and then when it came to the realization that they didn't care about him, and then just finding out that he passed yesterday, that was tough. Yeah, and I don't think necessarily, Mike that's there now is like necessarily a bad guy. He doesn't come across as like an asshole or anything like that. I mean, he definitely cares about preserving history and collectibles, and I can relate with him on that end, but I guess some friendships just don't last forever. Popped up into left field, one away. I mean, especially when you have like money and ego and fame, other, factors, History Channel and all of these other, things going on. And then you maybe start to lose the track of what's really important in life. Not your fucking bike from 1910 or a fucking Indian or a Harley. It's your fucking friend, Frank Fritz, So. But I hope Frank isn't, hurting anymore. And hopefully he's out there and, in heaven, picking the hell out of the toys. Like if his shit ever became available, from his family, I would definitely buy a toy from his collection to honor him in my house. Like, some old school, cast iron toy from like the 20s to the 50s, even if I had to pay like $100 for it, it would be really cool to be able to have something that he picked or that was his personal collection that I could say, yeah, this is Frank's, that would be really awesome. But I don't know if that'll ever happen. I'm not sure if his kids or if he has kids or his family I don't even know if I don't think he has kids. I'm not sure. I don't think he does. But if he has kids or family that are alive, what's going to happen with that collection? And do they even care? There's a lot of people that collect, their family members don't care, and then so when people die, it ends up being a burden for them, and then, they end up selling stuff, but, they don't have that same kind of connection to those items. Top of the 8th, 5-4 Padres. We have ourselves a game here. Pitch is outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Marcell Ozuna, who is the best player for the Braves this year. Big swing and a miss. See you later. Next up is Matt Olson. And originally I had Marcell Ozuna, but I couldn't get the image to work. But then I ended up getting these, and these turned out really good. Yeah. Yeah, normally Double E would be here. I'm actually surprised because I told him if I did the stream, and he went to Buffalo Wild Wings with his dad yesterday and celebrated the win. But maybe he'll stop in before the game ends. I know he's watching. He might be watching with his friends or something, but we'll see if he pops in here. Or but again, I did post that I was going to do the stream yesterday early in the morning, but then as we got to about an hour and a half before the game, Paisley, kind of was, being a little clingy, and I could tell that she wanted me to be able to spend more time with her. And I was feeling a little off, if I'm being honest. So let's go to the bottom of the 8th, 5-4 Padres. And then obviously the Frank Fritz thing, that definitely kind of hit me. And like I said, I don't really get affected that often when I have celebrities or athletes or singers or people that pass. But again, it just depends on the connection I think that you have with that individual person, and I've been a collector since I've been very, very young, and I've never really seen a show, that wasn't like Pawn related, and again, like Chumley and Big Hoss and, Pawn Stars, it's like, they're just flipping, and you can learn some information about the stuff, but it wasn't like, going on the road and digging in the barn or meeting people and finding out the history and the story, because that's a part of what makes it cool, right? Is knowing the backstory of the item, and then, finding amazing things, toys and collectibles and, gas and obviously oil related items. Like I didn't really give a shit about gas and oil related items until I watched that show. And then I learned a lot, about finding, the Pegasus or the old school Texaco or Chevron signs or oil cans like Frank. And, and then I started to have a little bit more appreciation for that old school stuff and keeping that alive, because obviously we know a lot of the younger generation, they don't care, and we don't want a lot of that stuff to disappear. So Frank Fritz, baby. All right, Megan, you have a good rest of your day. Appreciate you. Go to the bottom of the 8th, 5-4 Padres. This is my guy right here, man. I would have loved to have been able to meet him. We'd have a lot in common. Take care. Yes, we do. I just tried to pull up a few other ones too, but some of them weren't converting, but I'll be able to get a few of these here. Bye. And we will. I mean, that's why I like with my stuff too. You know, I'm going to end up having like some kind of scavenger hunt. You know, some of my stuff is going to go to my best friend, you know, Justin. But again, I'm going to end up doing like a scavenger hunt for some of my stuff because I just got way too much stuff. So, you know, there'll be a legacy that people will be searching for my gems, you know. And again, there's not going to be very many people that will do that, but there will be clues and my legacy will live on. Big swing and a miss. 2 away. Pitches it outside to Higgy. Higgy crushes that one foul. All right. And again, we'll be doing ducks. We'll be doing ducks and we're doing Buccaneers and Falcons with me and Shep. Then Ducks and Michigan State on Friday. WWE Bad Blood on Saturday. Cowboys and Bears. Or no, Cowboys and Steelers on Sunday night. And then Chiefs and Saints on Monday night. So we're going to be definitely very busy here. Louise Arise, best hitter in baseball. I did not. If you got a link or some information, send it to me on, it's on Netflix. No, I did not. I still haven't got a chance to watch the Vince McMahon documentary on there too, even though I've kind of, you know, have a gist of what it's about and whatnot. I mean, he didn't come back at the very end to do the final part of it, obviously, because that's where the allegations came out. So we already know Vince is a terrible human being. So, I mean, you're starting to hear more and more of like, the sexual misconduct and the treating of individuals, not just from Vince McMahon, but Diddy and all of these other Hollywood, pedo fucking people that are out there. Everyone thinks that everyone's just goddamn normal, but like people in the music industry, people in Hollywood, people that have positions of power. It's disgusting, how things are starting to get, revealed to the American public and globally. Unlike, eventually your dirty secrets are going to come out. So. And that one is going to stay in there. And Louise Arise pops out to center. Go to the top of the ninth. Queen of Villains, 5-hour-ish long episodes. Oh, I got to watch. Thank you for the recommendation. It's super horrific, and especially if more, and obviously the people that are rich are going to have, lawyers, and they're going to try to protect themselves, as much as possible, but there's a lot of people that are involved, but it's like, the same thing with like the Epstein stuff, the Diddy stuff, the Epstein stuff, the Vince McMahon stuff. I mean, just based on those three individuals and all the people that are tied to those three people, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of people that are terrible humans, that come across as our favorite singers and actors and actresses, that we think that they're just like these good citizens, and in real life they are terrible human beings. Ooh, yes. Yeah. And this is just the stuff that we kind of know about, the child trafficking and all the other crazy stuff. Like, I just think that a lot of people want to sweep it under the rug and act like, oh, not my favorite actor. Oh, not my favorite singer. No, not my favorite, person, But again, there is a lot of stuff that people do not realize what is going on if you're oblivious. Like, if you don't read and you don't keep up with what's going on, definitely is a scary time to be living right now. We're going to the top of the ninth, 5-4 Padres. I don't think everyone did. And I think that like I said, when, Cat Williams came out on Club Shay Shay and then started calling, people out. But then now, you're starting to hear about the abuse, ended up going with people as young as 9 years old, and stuff. So it's not just, with people like Aaliyah and maybe being 16 or 17, but going super, super young. And then, and it's there's so many people that are, either involved or that were there and they knew what was going on, but decided not to say anything because they're all trying to protect each other. I mean, who in their right mind has a 50-foot bed? Terrible stuff. Top of the ninth, 5-4 Padres. Suarez on the mound to end it for the Atlanta Braves, and Soler in the box. Solo home run and a walk for Soler. Yeah. Right. But I don't think it was known, as much as people know about what was going on. You know what I mean? People knew that there was parties and stuff, but I don't think people understood the extent of what was going on. Soler lined out to center, one away. Next up for the Braves, left fielder Ramon Laureano. Padres, they're feeling it, baby. And I also think, too, I don't think people realize, how many entertainers that were either, gay or bisexual. I don't think people realize that either. I think some people had assumptions, of stuff. But I think that, a lot of these people, they obviously tried to cover things up and whatnot. And regardless if you're gay, straight, or bisexual, it doesn't matter, but... Woo, what a catch. Jackson Merrill, 2 away. Especially when you got these guys that have a certain type of image, a thug image, And then obviously, as more and more information comes out on the crazy stuff that's going on out there, people need to be in jail, baby. Jail, jail, jail. 5-4 Padres, and they're 1 out away, or 2 outs away from advancing here. Yes. Yes. (20-0) and leading after 8 innings. 0-1 pitch. Pitch is low. 1 ball and 1 strike. here. I'm going to go to this one here. All right, here we go. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Everyone's antsy there. You can tell. And Padres are a true threat, to the Dodgers and Phillies. And Houston wasn't as good, obviously as San Diego, but it's still a little shocking that Houston did not advance. But it doesn't hurt my feelings one bit. I think everyone is happy that they got eliminated. Laureano grounded out to third, 2 away. Yes. I don't know. I kind of feel, a certain way, though, from people like Justin Bieber that got exposed to things that, shouldn't have, been exposed to, like you can definitely tell like certain artists that have been damaged and they're never going to be able to heal, whether it's physical or mental or both. All right, 1 out away, baby. Last opportunity, catcher Travis d'Arnaud. One more out, baby. Dodgers, who the Padres would face. Fouled out. Fouled out to the catcher, baby. Yes, sir. Congratulations to the Padres. Awesome. We got to have at least one of those kind of sleeper teams that does something special. And I'm telling you, the Dodgers they're not going to, publicly admit that this is not good for them. But the Phillies got to be ecstatic right now because they don't have to follow, what they, have thought that they would have to do to get to the end destination is obviously the NLCS and then the World Series. So the Phillies dodged a bullet, and the Dodgers, you would think, are the better team, but I wouldn't count the Padres out. I mean, if we're talking about a, 7-game series, if the Padres pitching and defense is there, you're going to get damage, from Mookie and Freddie and Shohei and Teoscar, right? You're going to, but the Padres legit have a chance to beat the Dodgers. They did it a couple years ago. Wow. Well, honestly, Matt, nobody, you trying to reach out to the OC, he's not gonna respond back to you. I'm not sure if I would have went that route. You know what I mean? Regardless if you're just a kid or you have knowledge and you're working for some other school and whatnot. But I'm not sure if there's any type of plays. Again, it's not necessarily plays and a scheme problem. It's a talent problem. That's the problem. We don't have the talent. There still could be some scheme changes and some different plays that could be called, but that's not necessarily the number one problem. The problem is depth and the lack of talent. Having players that aren't as good as that were what we're used to being accommodated at Oregon. Dylan Gabriel ain't no fucking Michael Penix Jr. And he's not even Tim Tebow, and he could still end up being an okay quarterback, but I don't feel any connection to him, and again, I know we lost a lot to the NFL and that's what happens, but I don't think I've ever seen an Oregon team look as weak as what we have right now, with the wide receivers and the running backs and the tight ends, everyone is a backup. They're not starters. They're not Bucky Irving. They're not Troy Franklin. They're not Bo. Everyone's a backup, and eventually, it's going to come back to bite us, and we're going to start losing. We might be able to beat Michigan State. We're definitely not beating Ohio State, and hopefully next year will be better. But, There's no plays that are going to turn this team around. You know, it's a lack of talent problem, not a play calling problem, unfortunately. I mean, it's the weakest roster that I've seen, like, in my life. Like, it's been a long time where I've seen a roster this weak, you know, for a team that supposedly recruited, you know, top 3, top 5, and, you know, NIL money and transfers. Like, it's very disappointing. You know, like I said, this is the first time in my life where I don't feel a connection to this team. You know, like, I'm just waiting for the season to be over for us to get some better players. Now, I do like Dan Lanning, but there are a lot of these players on this team I don't have a connection to. It's just a bunch of backups out there. But the one thing that is good, and I will agree with this, the defense is good. And I've always wished and prayed that we would have a good defense. But now we have a good defense, but then the offense disappeared. You know what I mean? And I don't really like our OC either. You know, I don't like Stein. You know, he's too vanilla. You know, again, he's not a good play caller. And then it's like, not a good play caller. We got a bunch of backups. It's a recipe for disaster. And then we had a lot of people go to the NFL, you know, but the defense is nice, you know, and that's one thing that's kind of exciting. But I mean, I just want to be able to have like a nice, well-rostered team, you know, with the right type of fit of players here. But and hopefully the Buccaneers can beat the Falcons tomorrow. I mean, I've been getting beat up. You know, I got the most points scored against me out of anybody in the league, even 10 more than Oreo, you know. So I've gotten everyone's best, you know, with Zini to Chief Will Chief to Reflect to Shep. Very hard to be able to recover from that. You know what's crazy, Reflect? That I got 100 more points scored against me than you. You know, like over 100. I've never had that happen before, you know, but I'm happy that you're at 4-0 and Shep is at 3-1, you know, but we'll see what happens with me, Sarah, and Oreo being at the bottom. And hopefully all three of us aren't at the bottom for long. And eventually, once we all get our second win, there's going to be a lot of teams right there neck and neck with each other. You know, you two might take off. You know, you and Shep might be at the cream of the crop at the top, but there's going to be a real battle for 3rd and 4th place. You know, I mean, depending on how things go. But obviously starting off the season 4-0 and 3-1 is a hell of a lot better than, you know, being at the bottom at 1-3. So, yeah, you got the least amount of points scored against you. I have the most. It's ridiculous. 500 something. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, I can't even catch a break. And then, like I was telling you last week, I would have literally beat everyone last week, right? After actually, you know, getting my ass kicked for 2 weeks. Finally have a good week. And the only person that would have beat me was Shep. And of course, that's the one that I played. I would have beat everyone else in the league. All the other 8 individuals, I would have beat them. It would have been barely by a few of y'all. It would have been by like a point by like 3 of you guys, but I would have won. But of course, I end up getting blasted by the person that scores the most. And then I can't even get a win. I'm sick and tired of losing. 3 losses in a row does not make me feel good. But I'm not quitting. And I'm going to try my damnedest to be able to get to 4th place. You know, I know that's kind of a crazy goal, but when you're 1-3 and you're they have me as the team that's the worst in the league now. They think that I'm the worst in the league and that I have the least amount of chance to be able to make it. They think I have a 13% chance and I'm the worst in the league. We'll find out if I really am the worst or if I can actually get back to 4th place. But again, as long as I can, you know, manufacture lineups and they hit, then that's all I can do, you know. And again, you know, I don't know if CMC's playing this year or Cooper Kupp, you know, but again, I got to be able to act like they're not coming back at all. And then hopefully I can start getting lucky where some of the other people have injuries and they shit the bed and I have some good weeks and I can catch up. So But you guys are kicking ass, and I'm jealous. I wish I was 4-0. I wish I was 3-1. But again, I guess, everyone has to have this happen to them. I just never thought it would happen to me, to be honest, with all the reading and all the time I put in, But again, that's what happens when you end up, picking a Christian McCaffrey and a Cooper Kupp, which I'll never will do again. You'll never see me roster those two players ever again. Ever. But there is definitely a little bit of luck involved, too. Anything else? Well, also too, this is the most competitive it's been. Like Sarah, ended up, going like 0-6, 0-7, and obviously that's not normally what will happen to her. But again, I feel like this year is way more competitive than I've ever seen it. Like, everyone, even like Chief was the worst team, a couple weeks ago, and now he's starting to kind of catch his stride where, it looked like, oh, maybe he's going to be the worst team in the league, and then now he's kind of like in the middle, climbing, kind of trending upwards. So I'm just praying to the sports gods that my time will come where I can get a little bit of luck. Anything else that you wanted me to be able to show photos? Thank you for your generosity for me and Sarah. I know it means a lot for her, and it means a lot for me too. And you're literally the only person that would do that, So it means a lot that, it's one thing, you got to be able to have the finances to do it, but then also you have to be able to have the kindness to go out of your way to do something like that. And I'm really proud to have you, being a big staple of this channel, to be able to not only bring your expertise and obviously your, friendship and your vibe to the channel, but then just being, overly kind and generous, and we need it because again, there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to do what you did, and I'm just really happy that we have a few that will be able to go out of their way to make not only my day better, but also to make Sarah's birthday memorable, which you're not going to really have from anybody else. So I appreciate you for thinking of me and thinking for her, and being a big part of this channel. Anything else that you want me to throw up? I'm just randomly trying to find some good old Frank Fritz. Yeah, but back in 2021, Frank said that Mike didn't even reach out to him for a couple years. That's so terrible, man. Couple years? Yes, my favorite. And that was a couple years ago, like in 2021, after, like, how could you be so heartless? You know what I mean? Like, this used to be your best friend. You grew up together, like went to like middle school and high school together, and even if you have differences and whatnot, like, again, when someone is sick or when they're dying, like, you're just not going to talk to someone for 2 years, but again, I think that simple fact, is why people turned on Mike and people stopped watching the show, Maybe his ego thought that everyone watched the show because of him, him and obviously Danielle and Robbie and just the picker brand, and thinking that the co-host really wasn't anything besides a Robin to his Batman, but that's far from the truth. So, but I hope that Frank is picking easy, riding a Harley or an Indian and going to his next pick in heaven, trying to find some cast iron toys, from the 20s to the 50s from Japan and in America. Love you, Frank. Miss you. Won't be the same without you. Elliot, my boy. I was waiting to see if you were going to show up, my guy. Nice job, dude. Good victory for you guys. It got a little close there with that 2-run blast by Michael Harris II, but you guys have a legitimate chance to beat the Dodgers, and I think you know that. So I will definitely be, doing a couple of those games at some point, as long as it lines up, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday when we're not doing, college football, wrestling, or NFL. Yes, admiring the oil cans. Yeah, I mean, at some point, I might have to, try to find something that will remind me of him, and put it on my dresser, as like kind of an homage to Frank Fritz. So, yes, you are. I told you were at the beginning of the year, and you guys are doing it. Now, the Astros weren't able to do it because they went against Screwball, and the Tigers had great pitching and great defense. But you guys, just like we said, you guys are dangerous. And you're showing that, you guys can beat the Dodgers and Phillies. And I honestly, everyone's going to pick the Dodgers and everyone's going to pick the Phillies, but again, the top 3 in the National League, the Padres were 3, but they may not be number 3. And we'll see what happens when they end up playing each other. I'll be rooting for you. Even though my dad's Dodgers, it's, Ohtani, I have a connection with that team as well, but I'll definitely be rooting for your fandom, obviously there. So, yeah, agreed. Well, I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very much. I am going to walk Paisley and eat some dinner and spend some time with her. We'll be doing the Buccaneers and the Falcons on Thursday night. If you guys can make it, that would be great. I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys. Good luck to everybody in fantasy. Good luck to your Padres. Appreciate you, Reflect. You're an MVP. You just made me and Sarah's day, week, month, year, and now I sound like friends, where it could be any single one of those things. I appreciate you. Pivot. Love you. Appreciate you guys. And again, we'll be grinding it out tomorrow. Shout out to Matt, Sarah, Elliot, Reflect, everyone in the building. Double E, you the man. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. What's going on here? What do you want to show me? What's going on? What you got for me, guy? What you got, Matt? This better be good. It's not your oatmeal chicken food photo that you sent me yesterday, is it? Brett's still in the building. I didn't know if you were still here. Miss you. I love you. He said, please don't leave. Oh, dog. All right. Well, you got to make it quick, my guy. Paisley's been waiting on me. Matt's got me on the clock working overtime. You're just listening to my voice. A little ASMR. For Orion-y. Now you're having me hold on. You don't even have it ready? Matt. He said, I got something to show you, but I don't even have it yet. Come on, Matt. That got me waiting over here like Taylor. Come on, my guy. The dog father needs to walk the dog, give hugs and kisses, and eat some din-din. Okay, you show me tomorrow, bro. We got plenty of time tomorrow for, especially if you don't have it ready. He said, I'll show everyone tomorrow. You got like a duck onesie or something? Well, Brett, love you. Matt, Reflect, Sarah, you guys are amazing. Good to see Air back in the building too. Obviously, we haven't seen him in months, so it's always good to be able to have another regular back on the channel. But again, love you guys, and I appreciate you, and we'll grind it out, and Matt will be able to share whatever photo that he wants to share. We'll be able to get that up for him. And again, rest in peace, Frank Fritz. You my guy. Love you. Appreciate you. You're in fucking picker heaven, my guy. And I got one question for you. Who you know talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. You guys are the best. I love you. Reflector and MVP, and I'm out. Okay.